The opinions expressed on this show do not necessarily reflect those of the Barbers Chat Network, our great partners at H&B Media, or any of our media peers. We're just five idiots who love sports and love to talk shit. If you're offended easily, then this show isn't for you. And for those of you who aren't offended easily, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Remember, it's only entertainment.
So cool.
Triple double hat trick, I know the code too. Ice trade, go for trade, yeah we cold too. Getting paper on these player haters, old news. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold. My agent just said we made 100 flat. Make it back and make it stack this like no Steven Jack. Put my rings up in the camera like I needed that. Up in the air and at the rim is where I meet them at.
What's going on, y'all? Welcome to another edition of I'm Not Gonna Hold You. It is Monday, November 4th, 2024. It is election night eve here in the United States of America. I'm your host, Scott. You can follow me on all social media platforms at Scott. You can follow H&B Media, H&B Media TV on Twitter, and that H&B Media on Instagram. And of course, you follow the Barbershop Network and that Barbershop Net on all social media platforms as well, man. First of all, Jonathan Hart in the chats, go to hell. Also, Elon Musk, go to hell. For I had to restart the whole stream on Twitter again. Like, y'all need to get this shit together, bro. Like, I don't be paying money for y'all to be fucking my stream up, bro. But also, we got a big show for y'all. Subscribe to the Patreon, patreon.com/Barbershop Network. It'll take you right to the QR code. The QR code take you to all four different tiers. If you subscribe to the Barbershop All Access tier, that means that you will get a 25% off code for the Barbershop Network shop. That is bcnetshop.com. Yeah, man, got a nice show for y'all here, man. We got Pavy will be joining us in hour 2 to talk football and basketball. We've got our college football correspondent, Kyron Samuels, be joining us in the third block to talk about this past week in college football. Oregon is ranked number 1. Colorado Buffaloes are actually ranked. I want to revisit my conversation for everybody who said they wasn't going to win as many games. And, still got a little more time as well, but it look like they're closer to getting a bowl game. We're going to talk about that big battle that's going to be going on in Death Valley this weekend between LSU and Alabama. We've got Overreaction Monday, NBA talk, and, of course, the local hour. But first, I want to bring in my co-hosts, Dante and Bang. You can follow them at JR Bang on all social media platforms and at October's on Tate on Twitter. How you brothers feeling?
I'm solid, my boy. Like you said, election night eve. Hoping these Caucasians don't get wild down here if they boy lose. But other than that, I really can't complain.
Oh, man. This has already been a stressful day. Tomorrow's even going to be more stressful. My job is going to make me have gray hairs all over my face. But, hey, y'all go out there and do y'all civic duty, and fuck you, Jonathan Hart.
Respectfully. Jonathan, I have no problem with you rubbing it in our face because I would do the same damn thing. Respectfully, fuck you today. But anyway, we got a big show for y'all today. I just want to say I don't want to go up here and be preachy about voting or anything like that. But go out there and vote, nigga. I always say this. I'm not one of the people like, oh, well, your ancestors, they're the ones who reason you vote. You know what I'm saying? I don't really care about all that. What I'm saying is, if voting wasn't as big as it's supposed to be, all these white people would be going through all these means of trying to get you not to vote. So
I'll go even one better, Scott.
Yeah.
For y'all niggas in Illinois, Kamala's gonna win Illinois. All right, she's gonna win this shit.
Yeah.
That don't mean don't take your ass out there to vote, because there's a number of local and state elections that y'all need to pay attention to. So still go out there and vote. But Kamala's gonna win Illinois, so don't be stressed out thinking that we gonna fuck it up. because you need to go look at Ohio, Pennsylvania, Georgia, Michigan, and them states. Y'all niggas need to go vote with passion. Focus on the those state and local elections and go vote.
Yeah.
Shout out to you, John. Said he voted for the first time yesterday. Big shout out to you.
Look at you.
You know what I'm saying? Big shout out to you. Like what Orlando said, the good news, we're all going to die someday and the Bears won't be able to hurt us. That is also very cool. Very true. That is very true. He said, at least we're not Cowboy fans. That is very true, too. But at least if I was a Cowboy fan, that would have been a part of my life when the Bears were winning, even though that was 30 years ago. Yeah, he said a lot of judges in the ballot in Illinois. Yeah, like, pay attention to stuff. You know
exactly.
What I'm saying? Yeah. And realize it's not just about the the national. It's about the local as well too.
Now, because I'm about to say, Young Thug got off, but I don't know if Fannie Willis is going to get reelected. It's not looking. It's not looking good for Fannie. So
not looking good,
like you said. And also, my main thing is, don't be one of the people that get online and complain and calls up and like to stir up shit, and you don't vote. Like, if you're gonna be a part of the conversation, be fully a part of the conversation.
Like Waka Flocka.
We could talk. Yeah, like, you don't vote and you're not even registered to vote, bro. Shut up. Like, stop wasting our time.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, man. Like, I just feel like you just said, Dante. Like, I hate when niggas be up here like, well, neither party is gonna help us. Shut up, my nigga. Like, pick which one. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like that. That's just really what I come down to. I'm gonna be locked in tomorrow in MSNBC with my man John Karnacki. And he'd be like, yeah, you come over here, you look at the battle over here in Nevada. My man gonna be going crazy. I'm gonna be watching that tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, just go out there and vote. I'll say this compared to the last election, I feel a lot better than I felt in 2020. In 2020, I felt pretty good. But I don't want to put too much dip in my chip because anything can happen. But I think the Cheeto and Chiefs is gonna get blown out. I really do. I don't think it's gonna be that close. That's just from things I've been reading, from the way stuff is starting to turn out. Like I said, it's not done till it's done. But yeah, I personally feel good. I'm not telling how anybody else.
I got my own prediction.
I mean, it just depends. The question of the day should be: do white women really want their reproductive rights? Yeah, that's what it comes down to. I know people love to weaponize the black vote and try to pit minorities against each other, but no, a large portion of white women voted for Trump when he won. So if he gonna lose, they're gonna have to switch sides.
Yeah, that's very
man.
True.
Look, I'm not as optimistic as y'all because in where I work, I be knowing where the money flow, and when it don't come to urban like it should, it's like, oh shit. Like when I knew Hillary was going to win the popular vote but not win the election, I was comfortable 4 years ago. This one, I think it's going to get weird. I think nobody is going to win the electoral college, and then we're going to have to deal with some fuck shit.
Nobody. Who the fuck is?
I don't think. First time. Hey, go look up your history books, nigga. I think it's in 18. I forgot what exact year. Nobody met the electoral votes, so it was up to the House to input a president, my nigga.
I mean, nothing would shock me, but I definitely don't see that happening. Like
I just got a bad feeling.
I get everybody's bad feeling. I get everybody's hesitation, but I think she's gonna blow that nigga out.
I hope so.
I don't think it's gonna be remotely close.
I hope so.
Nigga ain't got nobody coming to his rallies. Like niggas, like he out here spending his last day in Raleigh, North Carolina. Like it's just.
And that's a swing state, my nigga.
Yeah, but I'm saying like there's a swing state, but there's other swing states you should probably be at. Like this. Pennsylvania or something.
No, that's one of the ones. That's one of the. He got shot in Pennsylvania, nigga. That's a chance.
He got shot. Stop. That's like when wrestlers get cut, fam. Hey,
he got shot. All right, so you know what I'm saying. You know, motherfuckers. But we'll see what happens. Do your civic duty. Go vote. Don't just worry about the president. Go look at what's in your local and your state elections, fam. Those are the ones that's really more connected with you in the first place. And for those niggas, especially at the crib, who don't know they alderman is, or you don't know what they state senator is. Don't have no conversations with me about anything political, nigga. And niggas be walking past that goddamn alderman's office and don't know shit be going on up in that motherfucker. So y'all,
Niggas is like aldermen.
yeah,
All the aldermen. Who's my man from head of state? Mays Gilliam.
mm-hmm. Like
Alderman.
be like Merck on Summer Sessions when he was like, "Yo, these motherfuckers need to fix my lawn.
I was
Need to go
trying to
look
get.
at shit."
I don't know what is up with the Twitter streams, bro. Like this should be blowing me.
It's
Like it's
still
not.
fucking up.
It's airing on. It's not airing on the 79th and Hallis page. Like I didn't added that shit like 4 times.
Hey, man, Elon Musk. He's trying to.
Elon, you gotta get your shit together, bro.
He heard what you said on who you think is gonna win. He was like, "Oh no, fuck this nigga.
Yeah,
Can't have him on here.
We're gonna be shadow banned now.
It's all your fault."
it was my fault that we're gonna be shut. I didn't try to start the show like 4 times. I'm gonna try to keep trying, but anyway, let's move on to our next topic, man. Oh, before we get there, I didn't say I was feeling. By the way, the only reason I did the show today is because I know people want to hear what we had to say about the Bears because I don't feel too good. That's why I have the shades on right now because if y'all saw my eyes, but nigga, you should not be recording right now. I have like a head cold, which is the worst. You know, when you have a head cold, any type of light, nigga, it be hurting and shit. Like, so. But I had to give y'all, and tell y'all what I feel about these Bears, man. But we got to kick it off with a death that happened today, man. It was kind of crazy. I was thinking about this a couple weeks ago. I was like, man, I still want to meet Quincy Jones, but I was like, and he is getting up there. But we got the news this morning: Quincy Jones passed away at age 91 in his Beverly Hills home with all his family, man. I don't even know where to start with this one because it's like Quincy Jones is like too much of a legend. You're gonna miss out. You're gonna miss out stuff by bringing up all the accomplishments that this man has. If I had a list of 5 people who I've always looked up to, who will be inspirations to me in this entertainment thing before I got into sports media, I wanted to be a music producer, and I tried for a long time, and I realized I'm ass, and I quit. And a lot of niggas who produce out there should do the same thing and realize when they suck that sometimes it's good to quit. And I eventually moved on to other things, but I was a big Quincy Jones fan. Like, I think so many people who have been influenced by Quincy don't even know they've been influenced by Quincy. Like, he's done scores to some of your favorite movies. He's produced some of your favorite records. I mean, everybody knows about him and Michael Jackson. But, he's the only person you can think of who's worked with Count Basie all the way down to doing interviews with Kendrick Lamar. Like, that's like generations of music right there. Worked with Ray Charles, worked with Miles Davis, worked with Frank Sinatra, bro. Like when niggas weren't even allowed to be in the same hotel as white people, he's in Frank Sinatra's band and he is protected out there, man. And it's just, he lived one hell of a life. I'm not somebody who when I feel like once you hit like 80, especially as a black man, you've lived a very, very full life. It wasn't a tragic death or anything. It was just more a bummer, I say, because I always wanted to meet the man and have a conversation with him. But me and Bang, we were talking about before we got on air, one of the biggest songs, one of the non-Michael Jackson songs that he's had that I've always been a fan of is the Tomorrow joint with young Tevin Campbell. This before Tevin Campbell did Can We Talk, which Generation Z is bastardizing. Which by the way, I still love the song. It's a great song, but y'all niggas is I heard somebody play that at HBCU homecoming game. I'm like,
yeah, they do. Yeah, that's a HBCU.
Yeah, that's HBCU too. They've been doing that though.
Yeah,
they were doing that before these young niggas. Okay,
yeah.
I didn't know. My bad. But yeah, is so. I remember I don't even remember the first time I heard the song. They played it at I know they played it at my kindergarten graduation. You know what I'm saying? Which is a long time ago. I'm not gonna age myself. Then that got us talking to about what other songs we heard at graduations, even non-Quincy Jones involved. And on my 8th grade graduation, we had 3 songs. It was Ashanti Dreams. This is 2003. Ashanti Dreams, Nas, I Know I Can, and I know it's gonna sound funny, but R. Kelly, the world's greatest. All 3 of those songs. And so you just remember these songs, and with that Tomorrow joint, he's done so much other stuff, and he's just somebody where if you have not watched the Quincy documentary on Netflix that came out 5 years ago, I would advise you to watch it just to get how much of an impact he's had not just the music, but all entertainment. I've watched that
And it's up there
documentary
now.
one time, not count. It's still up
And
there right
it's
now.
still up. It's still up there right now. I watched it earlier today. And first of all, look at that picture of Merc, y'all. Look at that picture of Merc.
Look at Merc.
Look at
Look at
Merc, man.
That's
It's funny
Merc
because
doppelganger.
when I was up for some reason early this morning and got the app alert from CNN that he had passed. So I've been up since then. So I'm tired in the motherfucker, one. But two, yes, Scott, like you, I always wanted to meet Quincy Jones. In kindergarten, when we was living in Maryland, my son's kindergarten teacher, for Black History Month, wanted the kids to do Black History Month figures and do a presentation on them. Yes, in kindergarten, my son was doing presentations, nigga. When he told me he had to do it, I was like, fam, she know you in kindergarten, right? So they gave the parents a list of figures that they wanted, like you could choose one for Black History Month. So I'm looking at the list. I was like, nah, we doing Quincy Jones. He's from the crib. That's what we doing. We doing Quincy Jones. And there's a picture of my son, with the turtleneck, the fresh fade, a turtleneck, doing a presentation on Quincy Jones. So this morning when the news came out, my son had came downstairs. He was like, man, you know Quincy Jones died. It's like, yo, you remember your presentation? He was like, yeah, I remember the presentation. So he's very aware of the history and the legacy of Quincy Jones, because we made sure, just because he was from the crib, if we gonna have somebody from the crib we spotlighting for Black History Month, we gonna do this one right. And he held it down for him. But even outside of the Michael Jackson shit, like when you think about songs like It's My Party, that's his song. He produced that song. Working with Frank Sinatra, Fly Me to the Moon, working on that one, working with Count Basie. When you think of Sanford and Son, and you think of all of the scores that he did, like The Italian Job, and others like that. Like even before you get to 79, this man had a legendary career before you get that. Matter of fact, living in Washington State and meeting Ray Charles. Imagine you and Ray Charles as shorties meeting and connecting, and then thinking about the legacies that both of those guys had. It's just 91 is a good amount of years to live on this earth. And even at this point, that man was like, yo, I got 28 girlfriends, man. I'm out here. No matter what you say about Quincy Jones, man, this man is a legend. He is an icon. He's influenced more than you know. Even when you think about the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, there's no Fresh Prince of Bel-Air without Quincy Jones.
And that's such an iconic story, how Will got that role. And
right.
One thing I love about that story is you always got to be ready.
Stay ready.
If Will would have been like, nah, we'll just wait for the actual, audition, we probably wouldn't know Will's. Oh, remember the nigga who did Parents Just Don't Understand? Like, you always got to be ready for your moment. And Quincy said something which, if you've been in anything, I know me and Bang 100% can relate to this, anything industry adjacent, if you get a chance to do something right away, do it right away. If a nigga says, let's meet next week, you might never see that nigga again. Mm-hmm. And that was the prime example right there. And to say what you said, Quincy was high off life. He was like, I'm drinking. He said, man, I'm drinking wine. I'm 85. Like, you know what I'm saying? He doing this thing. You know what I'm saying? And so that's just more than anything. I just really want. He was on my top 5. Want to sit down and have a conversation with somebody about life. And so now I just need Obama to stay alive because he on that list too. But go ahead.
Yeah.
I need my man Barry to stay alive.
I was hoping, like, real quick before you go on, Dante, I was hoping that I ran into Obama while I was living in the DMV, because all I was gonna ask him was, hey man, let's go watch a Bears game in the White House, my nigga. I just want to watch a Bears game.
I want to know
with
what
Barack in the White House
on a Bear Sunday. Is he like us? That's what I want to know. Is Barry like us? Was Barry with Michelle last time? I told about this nigga Shane Walton.
Right.
Like, that's what I want to know. That's what I want to know. The closest I got to Obama was I was on that block where it's Hyde Park. house was. We had a house party on that same block. And I was too drunk, and I walked down the wrong street. FBI pulled up on me like them black trucks in Winter Soldier. It was like, nah, nigga, keep going. I was like, my fault. I ain't even know I was supposed to be over here. But go ahead, Dante.
No, man, it's unfortunate. Like you said, definitely a legend. And I think this is one of the reasons why I hate when people try to crown people as a GOAT or say they're the greatest so early, because it takes away from people like Quincy. Because I think when we tell people, this is the greatest producer ever, this is, one of the greatest composers ever, if not the greatest composer ever, it takes some of the weight off it, because we hear that a lot. But this is one of those situations where there is no hype, this is nobody's exaggerating. Nobody's being extra, not putting any spin on it. This was the best to ever do it. And so, to have a career that spans five decades? No, five decades. Damn near 5 generations worth of people.
5 generations.
Really look at it, bro. It's insane. Like you said, the list of people he's worked with. And so, people wish to have a third of the impact that he's had in his lifetime. And so it's somebody that I'm glad we got to, experience his gift, and, really shout out to his daughter for creating that documentary before he passed away. So people can get some of those stories. Because one thing I've always said, it's like we really got to talk to the older people in our community, especially now, because, back in the day, one of the ways that they kept stories alive was through word of mouth, through passing them down through generation. And when we've become so digital with everything, I mean, at least you could do just grab the camera, bro, talk to your grandparents real quick. It's something I wish I would have done with mine before they passed away, and just get those family stories and, that history. Because Quincy was somebody who, every time you saw an interview or you saw him talk or you read an interview, the stories he was telling were crazy, just like his interactions with the Beatles, all type of shit. So definitely rest in peace to a legend. And like you said, 91 years, he lived an amazing life. So it's nothing to be really sad about.
And if you got time, go on YouTube, just watch some Quincy Jones interviews. You will not be disappointed. This nigga said the Beatles had no talent.
Yeah. Watch any video where my man is talking about the aneurysm that he had. For those who don't know,
he had 2 of them.
He had 2 brain aneurysms. They thought this man was out of here, so they started working on his memorial. Not only did he make it out, he attended his own memorial. Like, that's lit in itself, that he was able to survive that and then continue to what career that he had. Also, last thing I have is, man, he grew up in a time where jazz was cool.
Yep.
So, like, just imagine, like, you just sitting at a damn bar with jazz music playing. You got a Newport and shit, and you just sitting, like, just chilling and relaxing. Man, he's literally like the last of a dying breed. All of those guys who lived that carefree lifestyle, some of them was on their R. Kelly shit. Some of them was on their Diddy shit. But outside of that, like, all of those guys that grew up in that era, that lived like carefree, like him and Tony Bennett was the last of that. I can't think of any artist, especially male, that we have left that like I would want to meet growing up in that era. It's like the smooth niggas are done, G. The real extra smooth niggas.
Hey, Billy D still with us. Billy D still with us. He ain't music, but
on the music side. Yeah, I'm talking about on the music side. Billy D still around though.
My man Billy D still with us. But and just this last thing too. And you bring up the jazz thing. That's why I love that interview where him and Kendrick were interviewing themselves right when September Butterfly came out. And he told Kendrick, I love how you putting the jazz up in there. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can see that the musician respect. And my favorite story about Quincy was when he said that they were living in Beverly Hills. Mike didn't stay that too far from Michael Jackson. And Michael stayed over there super late one night. So Mike decided to go out the back window. Mike picked up a brick and walked to his house. And Quincy yelled, Mike, we not in Gary in Chicago no more. You can put the brick down.
Put that shit down, fam.
Yeah, at the end of the day, these niggas were still 2 Midwest niggas, and I thought that was funny, man. So R.I.P. to the legend, Quincy Jones, man. Our prayers and thoughts out with his family and friends. And I'm like you, Bang. I've been up this morning because Thomas put in the group chat at like 3:30 in the morning. I didn't see it until 5. And I couldn't go back to sleep. I'm like, damn, man,
Nigga, I was up at,
going,
I think that alert came at like 2.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't go back to sleep. Gotta work.
It was still Saturday. It was still Sunday in LA when he died. So it was definitely around that time. But let's move on. By the way, I'm glad Pavy on her. Yes, we were. Who the fuck is Tony Bennett? And I had to smack that nigga. But
he did that already too. Yep, you're right.
Yeah, who's Tony Bennett? Like, this nigga Pavy has a picture of Frank Sinatra and Nat King Cole in his house, and he didn't know who neither one of them niggas was. He's like, oh, my designer put it there. I was like, nigga, huh? Anyway, let's get into what you guys.
This nigga got a designer, man.
Have you met Jonathan McCoy? Like,
hey.
that's the least thing that should surprise you about him. But yeah,
right.
let's get into it, man. What you guys all want us here to say? I know Shane O'Mackey said in the chat that I said enough yesterday. Yeah, if you missed 79 Dallas, I will go back and listen to that. That was a throwback. You got a Flows rant. And my brother be on this fake. Oh, I don't care about the Bills. That nigga ran it for like 10 minutes before I was able to say a word. So go back and listen to last night. 79 Dallas is on all the on the streams right now, man. But Bears lost last night, 29-9 in the desert. Oh yeah, local hour. Thank you, Nikhil.
It is the local hour.
Yeah, I be forgetting to say that. So shout out our super producer, Nikhil. But Bears lost 29-9 last night in the desert. I, for one, am glad I was not at that game. If I'm going to go and watch the team lose, at least let it be in the city and the state that I want to be in. Arizona is not on that list. Boy, he said, nah, that nigga care. You can hit. Yeah, exactly. My brother be trying to act like he don't care about the Bears. That nigga cares. That nigga, he trying to act like he don't care.
Yeah, he was passionate about Ryan Poles having to get let go, too. That nigga cared.
Yeah, that nigga was mad. But where do I start? Where do I start on these niggas, man? First of all, I'm tired. I'm like, you know what I'm saying? I'm really trying to figure out the words to use. I'm like somebody who just continuously got it cheated on in a relationship, and you're just like, you know what? You got it. You know what I'm saying? That's exactly why I'm met with this franchise. I'm just sick and tired that every year we're back here. I'm sick and tired that we didn't even make it to Thanksgiving before this season is over. I'm sick and tired of the Bears just, I think Granny said it. They're like the mouse in the wheel, just repeatedly doing the same stuff. Everybody would have said this last year, that if you're going to start over, you need to get a new head coach. I can't think of a team in any sport that's not the Chicago Bears who says they're going to restart or retool but still keep the same coach. It just doesn't make any sense. We can sit up here and we can debate about whether or not Ryan Poles actually hired Matt Eberflus. That, to me, is a moot point because you still brought him back. So at that point, it doesn't really matter if you actually hired him or not. It's all about you keeping him. And last night was just something where it feel like they're still feeling the effects of last Sunday. I said last week on the show that the season was over after they lost to the Commanders. And it feels like they didn't even put up a fight. They literally quit on this team. And you have all the excitement that came into the season. And I said 10-7 wild card berth. They're mathematically still in it, but let's be real. Trust your eyes. For them to finish 10-7 still, they would have to win 6 more games. So they have to go 6-3 over the last 9. If they can't even do that in the first 6 games, what makes you think they're gonna do it here against a much tougher schedule? And now you gotta look at it like this. We got 9 more weeks left in this season. How do you as a fan get through this? Because you got them, they're getting ready to play the New England Patriots this weekend. And do not fool yourself, Bears fans, because they're probably going to win. And they're probably going to win big. Don't fall for it. Because there's going to be a rude awakening coming to Soldier Field the next weekend, and that's Jordan Love, Matt LaFleur, and the Green Bay Packers. A team that Matt Eberflus has never beat. A team that the Bears have only beaten twice in this decade. A team that in the last 30 years, they haven't even beaten 5 times. And you think you're going to go against that? Think you're going to beat the Detroit Lions team? They look like they're playing a different sport compared to what the Bears are playing. Even though the Vikings are slowly coming back down to earth, Sam Darnold is starting to look more and more like Sam Darnold. They look like they're playing a little different game compared to the Bears right now. And the Bears, like you got pressured. Caleb Williams got sacked 6 times, got hit by 16 different players on a team that's the worst pass rush in football. Man, they had to do nothing because the Bears did everything for him. Marvin Harrison Jr. fumbled, dropped a couple balls. It didn't matter because they couldn't stop James Conner. It's just one thing after another. He's lost the locker room, and we're gonna sit up here and we're gonna talk about. It's a lot of alcohol will get Bears fans through. Alcohol don't do nothing anymore. This is a permanent scar. The alcohol ain't gonna help. And you look at these other teams. You look at all the other rookie quarterbacks in the NFL. The Jaden Daniels, the Bo Nix, the Drake Mays. They're playing better right now. And I'm not going to sit up here and act like Caleb doesn't have anything to do with this. No, Caleb has not played well these last 2 weeks. Caleb does a lot of stuff that's on him. The deep ball accuracy is concerning. He's going to some of the habits he had at USC where he's not taking the single or the double. And he's always going for the home run. Those couple checkdowns he could have took yesterday that he didn't take. But at the end of the day, I can't blame him when you got 2 idiots in his headset telling him what to do. And I said this for the last couple weeks. Everybody thinks it's cute that he's always audibling. No, it's not. You know what I'm saying? It's not cute that he's always audibling because that means the play that's coming through the air is terrible. And, he has happy feet. The offensive line can't block him, which is another thing. Like Ryan Poles went on HBO and said this is the deepest thing we ever had. This offensive line looks worse than it did last year. And last year wasn't good. Last year it was killing Justin. Another thing that annoys him a lot about Caleb Williams. I know he don't like to run, but if you see an open path to run the football. There was about 3 to 4 first downs that he could have got yesterday if he'd have ran. Run. I know you don't like running, but you got to do what you got to do to extend the drive. He be running out of bounds, waiting for somebody to open up like me when I used to play Madden. That's not going to work all the time. Run in front of you and get me. You're not the fastest. He's not Jaden Daniels fast. He's definitely not Lamar Jackson fast. He's not Justin Fields fast. But he's fast enough to be able to consistently make plays with his feet. You got to do that, especially with a leaky offensive line. And I want to segue this into the point of I'm going to switch these 2 topics in front of it. It's kind of actually one topic in general about why the Bears can't get on and win. And I'm looking at you, Ryan Poles. Ryan Poles, it might be time. I mean, my brother came on here on 79 Dallas just then and said he needs to be fired. I don't know if I want to go that far saying he needs to be fired because I do think that Ryan Poles has done a lot of great things, but he's done a lot of stupid things as well. And if TED Talk Kevin Warren came out and fired Ryan Poles, I would not be upset about it. I will be with it. But he has got to be able to, to me, he's looking like every other Bears GM right now. I don't want to hear about tradition. We don't fire people in mid-season. Where has your tradition got you? Oh, we have 9 championships, pre-Super Bowl era. I'm not saying they don't count. My brother had a big argument about that on 79 Dallas about what counts and what don't count. But let's talk about since the modern era. You have 1 Super Bowl. 45 years. That's a fine.
My bad.
Name Porter Dante. But 45 years, 1 Super Bowl. And then a laughing stock again. And you don't want to be out here ruining Caleb Williams. And that to me is where, I'm not saying he should be, but I wouldn't be against it if they did. Because something's got to change, bro. Something's got to change. And I think Eberflus is cooked. Eberflus knows he's cooked. Now it's about who are you going to get the right guys in there? Go out there and pay a Ben Johnson. Go out there and pay, I don't know, Robert Saleh to be a defensive coordinator. Don't go out there and do the typical Bears thing, which would be, let's call Lincoln Riley. Let's go get someone like Jack Del Rio to be our defensive coordinator, which would be peak Bears. Do something right, because I'm fed up with this. I'm blessed to be able to cover the team, but it gets real annoying when they suck. Let's just be real. And the fan base deserves better. You're doing soft counts in a stadium full of your fans. These fans pay money to come out of town, to come out the country to see you, and you continuously smack us in the face. I'm personally tired of it, man. That's pretty much all I've got to say about that. I'm gonna go to Bang first, man. What's your thoughts from this game? And do you think it's about time that we need to start looking at Ryan Poles?
Now, first of all, can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right, cool. I just want to say, first of all, I just told your ass I've been up since 2. So don't find me for yawning.
Press the mute button, my dog.
I thought I did. That was the point. I thought I did. That's why I was trying to take the mic out. All right, so the Ryan Poles thing, I see the cut of y'all jet. I see where y'all going. I'm not going to do that just yet because there's still questions around why Flus was hired in the first place. Were they a package deal? Was their ownership was like pick between these niggas? All of that. It's still that, right? But I'm going directly to Flus. And I had text y'all in the group when I started to see it. And I just felt like watching that game that the team had quit to the point that I stopped watching the game after the first drive in the second half. Like I had text y'all was like, yo, so wait a minute, hold on. Caleb got hurt or something? I legit was not watching the game. I was working. This team last year looked like the worst franchise in sports. Then the back half of the year, they started to rev up and do better and all of that stuff. Had those close games against Detroit, then end up beating Detroit. Close game against the Browns. End up losing against Green Bay at the end of the year. But with this is why Flus has to go. Like this, when we get to this point, this is why Flus has to go. All offseason long, we heard this. The Bears is the best team to ever have the number 1 pick in the draft. They don't look like a team that deserves the number 1 pick. They finessed the Carolina Panthers. This team is a quarterback away from at least getting to the playoffs. Even with a Caleb Williams getting used to the NFL game with the defense, yada, 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 yada. And even in that that Titans game, they looked like they wet the bed. They looked like they was unprepared. We've been saying all year long, second half adjustments the Bears have been doing good at. But what happened when the people start adjusting against you? But then you get to the Hail Mary, and then a week later, you have a 53-yard rushing touchdown before you end the half. That's when I knew the game was over, and that's when I was ready to stop it. Why? Because that defense was like, damn, we got beat on some shit like this again, but this time it's a run. That team shut down. That team lost, or he lost that team. It's no reason for Matt Eberflus to be the head coach of the Chicago Bears. If you want to save face, then don't fire nobody before the season is out. That's cool. But I'm going to say what I said last week, this week. If they wet the bed and they lose to the New England Patriots at home, where they've been decent at home, when was the last time they lost a home game?
I think they've won like 8 in a row at home or something like that.
Yeah, they won like 8 in a row. So if you lose this game at home to not only the New England Patriots, but Drake May, the 3rd pick in this draft, and he looks better than Caleb Williams, Flus and Shane Waldron can pack their bags right now. John Hoke will be the head coach. Eric Washington will be the defensive coordinator. Thomas Brown will be the offensive coordinator. That's not a hot take because that's when you know you hit rock bottom. Not only your home streak is over with, but you lost to a team which is one of the worst teams in the NFL, one of the worst coached teams in the NFL, and the 3rd pick in the NFL draft.
Definitely, man. Bang, we're gonna get your mic checked out. Your little buzzing in the background, dog. But
that's what I'm trying to fix, man.
Dante, man, tell us where you at with it.
I don't think Flus should have made it to this morning. I think he should have been fired in Arizona yesterday. I think we're at a point where we've repeated the same thing, and it was, our biggest fear outside of the offensive line. That's what we all said, having another year with a lame duck coach and a new quarterback, and that's exactly what we're doing. We said we didn't want Caleb to develop bad habits, but guess what he's doing in week 8? Some of the shit we didn't want to see him doing. It's all turning the way we thought it wanted. We didn't want it to turn, but this was a possibility we all put out there. So right now, I feel like you gotta do in-season fire. You gotta shake this shit up. It's too much of this. Well, we don't do that. That's not our tradition. We don't have a tradition. Our tradition is losing. And let's be honest here. Like, our tradition is being a doormat and a laughing stock. That's what we've been the last. I don't even want to talk about it, but
our entire existence as Bears fans.
Yeah, it's been sporadic success, but for the most part, that's what we've been. So, I mean, you have to see something change. I don't think Ryan Poles should be fired, but I definitely think the head coach and the offensive coordinator got to go. I think I'm at a point with Shane Waldron where it's like I don't expect him to get better. And like I told y'all off air, the reason I said let him be the interim coach because if you're going after Ben Johnson, he's getting fired anyway. So I don't think you just have him sitting around and just let somebody else be the interim coach. But yeah, man, I'm at a loss of words actually because of course I was super optimistic coming into it, saying we won 9 games last year. We won 7 games last year, right?
7.
Right, we won 7 games last year. So I'm like, the jump is there if y'all claim that Caleb is as great as y'all say he was. But even with him being a rookie, I should have been realistic. I shouldn't have bought into the whole he's a phenom talk because everybody has to have their learning curve, and also the offensive line was still the same. We didn't do much change. We went bargain bin shopping. We didn't really invest in that, and that was
which is what I said, by the way. Y'all call me pussy when I said that.
No, you're right. And don't get me wrong. As much as I love Rome, seeing how many teams in the bottom of the first round got offensive linemen that have been productive and been useful, I will rethink that strategy. But I think it's a situation where we've built our team from the outside in. And Orlando, you're absolutely right. Even if you get Ben Johnson, the O-line not coming with him. So, I mean, you're going to have the same problems. If things may get marginally better, and you may have Cole Kmet get more than 1 target in 2 weeks. But if you can't stop anybody, you're not going to do anything. So, I mean, you have to fix the trenches. And like you said, Brian Poles knows that. He has to know that. I'm not even going to do the whole you used to play O-line because no. Like Scott always say, the one picture they show with him and Matt Ryan, he's getting blown up.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not a situation where it's like he should just be picking blue chip offensive line talent. But we're at a point where that's what you need. You have to do that, whether you spend the money or you draft it. Because Caleb is your franchise. You can't keep having him out here getting hit. Flus kept him in the game. He tweaked his ankle, but he said he's all right. But even with that, it's just stupidity all around, bro. At all. It's just stupidity.
And I know Poles talked to him because Flu said that they asked him, did Ryan Poles speak to him? He was like, well, I'm not going to talk about private conversation. He told you cut that shit. Like you said, Jonathan, y'all got the LFT in 3rd round. Yeah, like there needs to be all those picks you got need to be going into the offensive line. Every position not named Darnell Wright, and he's going to probably be out for a couple weeks now with that MCL. It's got to like Tevin Jenkins. You're not bringing him back. There's no stability, but it's just typical Bears shit. Like you can't have a nice house with a shitty foundation, bro. You hit the nail on the head, Orlando. Like Ben Johnson can come here, and in typical Bears fashion, typical Bears front office fashion, they gonna expect him to fix everything. You don't have look at every team that's made the Super Bowl over the last 10 years. Look at the trenches on both sides. The defensive trenches and the offensive trenches. They are elite. The Bears not even okay in that. And until you fix that, it honestly don't even matter who the offensive coordinator is. Because, Ben Johnson gets in his bag and he calls a lot of great plays in Detroit. But Detroit has an elite offensive line that helps Jahmyr Gibbs, helps David Montgomery, helps Jared Goff make the plays that they need to make to have them be the winner that they are right now, man. And to answer your question, Jonathan, about DJ Moore, I don't know. I think people talking about he walked off play. I think this is too much with the DJ Moore shit. I know from being around DJ Moore is the same he always is. Like DJ Moore isn't a rebel. DJ Moore isn't distant doing anything to show anybody out. I think we're just paying attention to it, looking for bad body language, like the shit with, oh, you sitting by himself. DJ Moore always sits by himself. He's always sat by himself forever. So this is just something where, I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt because he hasn't done anything that would show his team up to begin with, man. So I'm gonna go with that. Couple more topics here in the local hour, then we're gonna head to hour 2. Caleb Williams. I saw some couple Bears fans tweeted me yesterday. It was like, oh, Caleb, this is why I didn't buy that generational talk and da 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 da. Like I said, I'm not shooting Caleb no bail. Caleb has not played well these last 2 weeks. There's some traits that look concerning, fixable traits, but concerning. But he's a rookie, man. Like I preached this from the beginning before he got drafted. No matter how generational you are, you're going to make mistakes. And that's where great coaching comes in. The best thing that Jaden Daniels has is the coaching is making it easy for him. Now, he still got to go out there and do the throws, which Jaden does. Jaden always hits, like, yes, he has a great deep ball, and he's hitting his guys. We saw it again yesterday against the Giants. That's the good, it takes his good talent and is molded by good coaching. You know what I'm saying? And I think if anybody is going on to my Caleb's trash and this, I just think you're doing too much and you're trying to get reaction. I think Caleb's having a pretty solid rookie season. And honestly, if you didn't have Jaden Daniels lighting the world on fire, I don't think it would be that big of hell that has been talked to him about that. You're comparing it to something else right now, which just comes with how sports is. This is just gonna happen. Jaden is by far the better quarterback right now, but I don't think Caleb's had a bad year by any stretch of the mean. He's had 2 bad games for sure. But that's the ebbs and flows that comes with it. I'm not finna go up here and do what Colin Coward and say, you look at Bo Nix, that's a franchise guy. Like, no, we're not finna do all that. It's just too many reactions. But you're also seeing that this is what happens when you have bad coaching, because now you want your rookie to do everything instead of making the game simpler for him. You know what I'm saying? Like they're not doing anything like that. And that's the annoying part. Now, if you're Ryan Poles, if you're the coaching, I think Mikey in the chat talking about he stank, trade for percent. Come to work, nigga. How about that? Come to work and then you can argue with us. But I think that when it comes to that, you got to be able to look at it with a little grace. I know Bears fans don't want to hear that. I get it. We're all disappointed about how it's coming out for the team. But I saw a couple people, not a lot. Only saw like she said send me a link. Okay. It comes to the I saw it wasn't a lot of people, probably like two, three people brought up the Justin Fields thing, and I'm like, look, bro, like, let's stop bringing that up. Like, I think Justin Fields was scapegoated 100%. Do I feel like Justin screwed a little bit? 100%. But I also think if he was a quarterback that everybody thought he would be, he wouldn't be riding the pine in Pittsburgh with much better coaching. So let's just stop bringing it up. My fear is this: for the next 9 games, you got to do stuff that won't make these troubling habits stretch. And that's why I think every Bears fan, almost every media is on the same page of why you have to fire Matt Eberflus today. That's my only concern going forward, is can he get through the rest of the season on a positive note? Because it should be about saving him. If you're Ryan Poles, you're hitched to this kid. So if he fails, especially with the and I'm not going to be one of the people who's up here saying, oh, they shouldn't have signed this, shouldn't have signed that. No, don't have Monday morning quarterback now. I had no problem with DeAndre Swift sign. I have a problem with it now. In fact, if they had gave him the ball more yesterday, they might have won the game, or at least would have been closer.
Talk your shit.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like I feel like Shane Waldron, like, oh, DeAndre Swift had 2 great runs. Let's throw the football again. It doesn't make any sense. You know what I'm saying? It just doesn't make any sense. We can't go over here and talk about situations now. No, nigga, he has great weapons.
Yeah, I was real quick, my bad, but real quick, I was telling my father this watching the game. I seen them run the ball and get some good traction and then just say, fuck it, we going to give Caleb the ball. it's almost like they're trying to force feed Caleb into whatever he is supposed to be instead of letting it happen naturally. That's why when you see success from Swift and then all of a sudden you see them throwing the ball 3 straight times, that's the only thing that I can get. Like, just run the ball, structure it in a way that he could get some confidence, and then from there, you'll be okay with some play action in here and there. But if you continue throwing the ball, of course he's gonna think this is hero ball. Of course he's gonna do it because that's the options you're giving him. The only option you're giving him is to be the hero.
Yeah, I agree with that. And it's also, too, like, I feel like Shane Waldron feels like he can only feed one wide receiver a game. Like, yesterday it was just, let's just give the ball to Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen's older, bro. He wasn't getting no separation. You have to find a way to spread the ball around. You know what I'm saying? Like, DJ Moore, what they're doing to DJ Moore is a crime. And I say this is a crime because even Luke Getsy, as terrible as he was and is on the unemployment line, he knew how to use DJ Moore. So you can't figure out how to use DJ Moore? It's crazy. Cole Kmet is at what? What would you rank Cole Kmet? Top 8 tight end in the league right now?
He's definitely at least top 10.
He's top 10 at the worst. 2 games, 1 target? That's what we doing? You couldn't give him no love on tight end day last week? It's just stupid, and it just doesn't make any sense to me. And now they're really, really playing with having their – you don't want to ruin Caleb before it gets started. And I'm not somebody who I think you're going to ruin him right away, but you want to get rid of these bad habits early. And that leads me to, Cole got 27 receptions for 30 targets. That tells me, maybe we should give the ball to him. Wrong, 15 yards per catch. Let's give the ball to him more. That's the stuff. It's just, I'm just tired of repeating the same thing. And I don't want to be repeating this for the next 9 weeks, but I know I'm going to. Final topic in the local hour because we got to move on. We're in a collision course, ladies and gentlemen, for the next coach. Will it be Ben Johnson? I don't know. I hope it is. I'm not, getting my hopes high because it's the Bears, and you should never do that. But I do find it very interesting that article, that news came out last week that he wanted the Bears in the offseason. And then Rich Eisen brought it up again today on his show today and said again that he said, I'm not going to quote anything, but I hear that Ben Johnson wants the Bears job. I had a little, I won't say altercation, but a little debate with a Twitter follower today. And they said that while Ben Johnson want to coach the Bears, you can think whatever you want to think about the Bears organization. You'll probably be right. But this is a very attractive spot. Say what you want to say. Everybody want to coach this kid, coach these weapons. If you're Ben Johnson, this would be good to work with this team. My question for y'all is, are we on a collision course? Are we ready for another first time?
Yes.
Yes.
That person.
Yeah, who else you gonna get? There's no established.
Belichick ain't coming here, fam. He's going to New York.
I'll be real. Belichick, I love Bill Belichick. I think he's the greatest coach of all time. I don't know if I want Bill Belichick in 2024.
I like this version of Bill Belichick. I ain't gonna lie.
He's good. He's good on TV. I don't know if I want coaching.
I like this Belichick. He can stay where he at.
Do you want Phil Jackson to come out of retirement to coach the Grizzlies? Like, to me, that's what it would be like. You got the greatest coach of all time to coach a young nigga team. Like, I'll be strong that. And yeah, I don't know. Ben Johnson might not be a great head coach. I don't know. But it's kind of like the Caleb thing where even if Caleb fails, at least they went after the best option. If you fail, to me, it's kind of like, I'm going to give you a game comparison. If you lose a game, let's say you're the Lakers, right? You can accept losing the game with LeBron missing the last shot. You can't accept it with Rui Hachimura missing a game. Then you're gonna think, damn, I should have gave that to Bron or AD. So I can accept you going after the hottest name in Ben Johnson and he just don't pan out. At least you went after it. Don't give me, we messed up not hiring Cliff as offensive coordinator. You know what we should do? We should make him our head coach. Or, hey, Lincoln Riley's over there huffing it up in USC. Caleb's this guy. Let's bring him. Like, that's Bears for one time. And the funniest thing about the I don't want to pay thing is crazy. because that doesn't even go against the salary cap. Coaches' salaries don't go against the salary cap. And it's nutty to me. Just go out there and get them. So my question to both y'all is, are we on a Ben Johnson collision course, or are the Bears going to find another way to Bears this up?
We're on a collision course with somebody. I don't think it's going to be Ben. I think the Bears are going to find a way to not land that top guy. And that may not be a bad thing, because I think at the end of the day, always trying to go with the person that everybody assumes is a sure thing. Just the way things have been going for us, we would be the ones to fuck that up. And so I don't think they're going to end up with Ben Johnson. I think they're going to actually let Ryan Poles do an extensive search and really bring in an offensive mind for Caleb. But man, if you don't pick the O-line, it don't matter who you bring in. It means nothing.
I think that's why they on the collision course with Ben Johnson. When you look at the Detroit Lions, even though they got Goff and Montgomery and Gibbs and all of that, even I don't know what the hell going on. Even though they got all of that, they're great in the trenches. They're great on the offensive line. Also, taking care of Ben and giving him what he wants hurts the Detroit Lions. Don't get me wrong. I like the whole grit and grind thing of Dan Campbell and all of that shit. But you can't tell me that Ben Johnson ain't the straw that stirs the drink. You can't tell me that that's not the case. So if you get him and you poach a couple of other people, I think that you have the offensive coach that's going to simplify the game as well. You look at Jared Goff. They've simplified the game for Jared Goff as well. So you need somebody that's going to be able to do that, bring the run game back. They got 2 quality running backs. We have 2 quality running backs. Kind of a similar situation. Where we're struggling at the trenches. I think Ben Johnson's going to simplify the game, and he's going to bring the trenches back, and he's going to be able to poach some of the good coaches on that offensive side of the ball. I think it's a no-brainer that you give that man what he wants and just live with the consequences from there.
Yeah, that's what smart organizations do. I want to know how smart the Bears are. I want to know how smart Ryan Poles is, because it's now or never, buddy. Like, to me, I know Flus is gone. I'm concerned about these last 9 games. That's what I'm concerned about. How do we get through this? And I know playoffs is done. If you still hoping for some faint playoff change, and you don't be peak Bears too. If they win a couple of these next couple games, that it said Dante is higher than the price of groceries is hilarious. And he probably not even high. Dante just be looking like that. But and he spelled his name crazy. But yeah, it's just, to me, it's kind of like it's now or never. I don't know how you get through these 9 games and evaluate Caleb accurately, because I just don't have any faith in the play caller. And I think it's going to get worse. I think they're going to win this Sunday, and I think they're going to win it convincingly. But I think it's going to get ugly. I think it's going to get really ugly in this stretch. I think the North, I think the Niners, I think the Seahawks are going to let us know that there's a difference between us and them. And then you're going to see that, maybe all the preseason hype was premature. The Hard Knocks, everybody getting excited. We were talking about flexing games a couple weeks ago. How silly does that sound now? Like, niggas like, you know what? We'll take under 500 Cincinnati Bengals team and have them place the Chargers. Let's put that on Sunday Night Football. We don't want to see the Packers lay the hands of God on, the Bears. We don't want to see that. So my last question of the local, we want to take 5 minutes to this, is how do fans get through these final 9 weeks?
Look for the progression from Caleb. That's really all you can do. Hope he doesn't develop those bad habits that we've been talking about. But I think it's one of those things where, in my lifetime, like I said, we probably had 2 trash defenses, so I don't worry about the defense. Like, that's just something we do. But in terms of seeing growth from our young quarterback, or at least enough to say he didn't regress, or he didn't, he doesn't have me worried. going into year 2. I think that would be that's really all you can really hang your hat on, because I mean right now the playoffs don't even hold your breath on that one, because it would take a miracle for that damn near. So I'm not really holding my breath in the playoffs. I just think you got to see Caleb continue to play, continue to somewhat take risks, but the deep ball accuracy has been trash. It's been so bad. Even the connection to Rome. If he hits Rome in stride, Rome could probably pick up speed and fucking score.
Bro,
but
how concerned are y'all of that on a scale of 1 to 10? I wasn't too concerned at first.
Nah, I will say nah.
About it
I'm hella concerned, because it's like a lot of times. Another thing, he chooses to throw off platform sometimes, but he can just set his feet and throw the ball. And it's like, bro, you just be flicking shit up there. And like some of them passes were just terrible. I know DJ is frustrated, because one thing you saw last year was the chemistry that him and Justin had. And him and Caleb don't have no fucking chemistry. Like that shit is bad. And they've talked about it throughout the season, but it hasn't gotten better. So the deep ball accuracy, I'm not gonna lie, I'm at a 9 now. Like I mentioned it the first couple of weeks, but then we played the trash teams and he was throwing the ball a little bit better. But nah, bro, that shit is a concern for me. Like I don't care if you throw the ball 1,000 miles an hour, bro. Like where are you putting the ball?
Yeah, it's a concern to me because of what Dante said. 9 times out of 10, when he's throwing that ball, he's not set. He's just flicking the wrist and just trying to go from there. He's playing playground football. Matter of fact, if I had to put it into a specific situation, and I know Jonathan Hart love this, he's playing like he's at Gonzaga High. He's playing like he could just throw that shit up, and any of the teammates on his high school will grab it. Like this is not. I don't even see Oklahoma or USC Caleb here. I see him just throwing shit up and thinking like, yo, the wide receiver is going to be fast enough to catch it or jump to catch it. He's never set or rarely set when he is doing that. And Mikey, you should be on the show because we gotta
review Mikey PTO. This is
right.
This is like when
we gotta review PTO because
he texting the homies at work like, yo,
answering all the emails.
Yeah, he answering all the he all in the email bag. He's all in the he's stat boying it right now.
That nigga on Microsoft Teams.
Yeah, but no, man, please don't say Microsoft Teams. But that's the other part too. Like it's now getting to the point, and Scott, you could correct me if I'm wrong, but it's getting to the point that he's looking off people. Like it feels like to me he's looking off Cole Kmet because Cole Kmet is 5 yards down the field and he wants to gain the big yardage.
Yeah.
He's looking off Rome Odunze to try to get bigger yardage.
He did that multiple times yesterday.
Right. So for me, that's where
driving down Harlem, Mike. You put the phone down, brother.
Right, you driving down Harlem, fam. I know where you at, and if you going close to where I think you going, you might need to slow down because the Grange police will get your ass. But nah, if it just looks like he's looking off the small yardage to get the big yardage, and again, he's rarely set when he throws the ball in the first place, so he's not gonna have enough time, and he's not gonna be set enough to be settled to get that pass off. But when he is settled, that's when it does happen. He has to stop doing too much, and maybe it's because he's rattled for that offensive line, or maybe he just feels like he has to do what he can to make something work. But somebody got to get in his ear and tell his ass to calm the fuck down.
So here's my last question for you, Bang. So how are you gonna get through the rest of the regular season? There's 9 more games left, nigga. It's a lot left.
You said, how we gonna get it? Hey, shit, I'm just gonna watch the games and FanDuel it up. Like, that's it. Yeah. Put like this. This might sound bad, what I'm about to say. This might sound very bad, what I'm about to say. But the last game of the season is this Sunday. The last game of the season is Sunday, y'all. This is it. Like, don't get me wrong. Jordan Love out here BLTing it up, y'all. He out here throwing ducks.
He ain't gonna BLT it up in 2 weeks.
Exactly. He been BLTing it up. I saw some interceptions and some shit that he did during that game against the Lions. So I was like, yo, if he was anybody else, they would have took his ass out the game. However, he ain't gonna do that shit against us. So, hey, y'all, congratulations. Last game of the season. The Bears, what we at 4-4 right now? Hey,
I'll be
man.
5-4 this time next week.
Hey, we're going to be 5-4, and that's going to be the last game we win this season, y'all. Congratulations. We suck again, y'all. Bear that.
And then Fluke's gonna go up there. We did some good things, and then you
Oh,
gonna have
no, Scott. No. It's not about doing good things. It's about, hey, no matter about the score, we're in this together.
Yeah, and we're in this together, guys. Dan Wiederer said that he sounded like an AI coach, and I was like, he do. Fluke's 100% sound like an AI coach, bro. He sound like an AI coach. But that's all we got for y'all for the local hour.
That was the local hour.
That was the local hour. We'll be right back in a minute. Pavy will be joining us. We're gonna do Overreaction Monday, and we're gonna talk some NBA. I got some things to talk about that happened in the NBA this weekend, so we're gonna get into that, man. We'll be back in 1 minute.
So cool. Triple double hat trick, I know the code too. Ice trade, go for trade, yeah we cold too. Getting paper on these player haters, old news, money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna.
Oh, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Hour 2. I'm not gonna hold you. We got Pat Vito in the house. Pavy, how you feeling, brother?
I'm good, man. I can't complain. How you?
I have a head cold right now, so
Okay.
I could be better, but we still here. We living it up. You know what I'm saying? I had to give the people what they want. They want to hear us talk about our terrible football team, so that's why I am here. But y'all can follow Pavy at Pavy World on all social media platforms, man. New music is coming soon. Yeah, man. Let's just get right into it. Overreaction Monday, which is one of our favorite new segments on here, where I give a couple things that might be overreactions, and I ask my esteemed panel here if they are overreactions. So I'm going to start with my first one, and I know Bears fans don't want to hear this one. My first overreaction: Drake May is going to finish more passing touchdowns this year than Caleb Williams. That is my overreaction. If we look at it right now, he has in only 5 games he's played, he has 770 yards passing, 6 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, while our boy Caleb in 8 games, he's just still in the hangover. I'm not hungover. I have a head cold, sir. I did not have any alcohol this week. I will this week. But Caleb in 8 games, 1,665 yards, 9 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. With the way the offense has been going, with the way the play calling has been going, he ain't had a touchdown in 2 games now. Is this an overreaction to say that Drake May will have more passing touchdowns? I go to Bang first.
Said it again. I'm actually trying to listen to what the fuck is going on in my house right now.
I said it's an overreaction to say that Drake May is going to have more passing touchdowns.
Oh, yeah. Nah, it's not an overreaction. Only reason why I say it's not overreaction because look how loose he's playing compared to what Caleb's doing. Like, Drake is actually playing loose as fuck. And our quarterback, which is number 1 goddamn pick in the goddamn NFL, is playing like he got a stick up his ass. So, no, it's not an overreaction.
Pav, I don't know how much Drake May you watched. I know you watched a lot of Caleb. Do you think this is an overreaction?
I haven't seen Drake May play too much. I know I did watch a little bit of the Titans Patriots game yesterday, like the end of it. It's not an overreaction, but it should be. Just considering that Caleb been out there since day 1 starting. I mean, I think him not having a touchdown in, like you said, 2 games now is kind of egregious. Again, some of that's play calling, some of that he throws some better passes because I didn't see some stuff that he was throwing out there where he was completely missing people as well. So it's not an overreaction, but at the same time, the fact that it's not an overreaction is kind of I don't want to say it's kind of embarrassing.
Yeah.
But I'm a still hold strong and say that I think Caleb will finish with more pass. I think he'll write that. Granted, he's a rookie. It's his 8th game. He's not playing terrible, but I think for lack of better words, he'll right the ship at some point in time this season and, get back on, at least to looking better than what he's looked the past few weeks.
Dante, what you think?
At this point, it sounds right. It sounds about right. Like, I have no faith in nobody right now. Like, from what we've seen, like, we feast on bad teams, but there aren't too many more bad teams on our schedule. So, I mean, what are we going to do? I think the book is out. Rush the kid. Like in the first one, we were playing the bad teams. It was a lot of, well, he's completing the quick ones. But now I don't know if that was just that instilled some, false confidence in him, because now, like you said, he's just ignoring the layups and trying to go for all home runs. And that's not going to work. In these next couple of weeks coming up, it is a wrap. They do it. People said that before the draft, and everybody was like, "Don't do that." But you're very right. We saw Zach Wilson do the same off balance throws and all the other shit. So I don't want to go that far and compare him to Zach, but it's back to just to get back on point. Drake, man, yes, he'll have more touchdowns. Okay. I was about to keep going, yeah, but yeah, Drake.
One thing about NFL season, man, NFL season will humble you very quickly and have you on your knees very quickly. Like just 3 weeks ago, nigga, we was putting this nigga's Hall of Fame bust in Canada.
Yeah, it's that commercial. It's a beautiful day, and then a bad day, and motherfuckers just walking around sad than the motherfucker.
Yeah, and then in true Bears fashion, they gonna win some games they got no business winning, and then you gonna be watching American Night in Football. Well, I'm telling you, in typical Bears, the Bears. I'm telling you,
which game?
I'm not saying which game they're gonna win. This thing that's annoying about the Bears.
I just need some hope, nigga, because I see that schedule. Outside
they did it last year. They did it last year.
They're gonna win this games, man. They're not a terrible football team. They can catch somebody on like an off game. They're gonna win some games. They're not gonna finish the season with 0 whatever.
This Detroit team don't even look like the Detroit team we beat last year. And we ain't got the defense.
But it's also division game.
And you said you niggas. I'm not. See, this is where I get you, Scott. The Minnesota games is the only games, and I'm like, all right, they can win those games. Them are not the ain't got no business winning games. The ain't got no business winning games is San Francisco, and Green Bay.
Brother, we're going 1-5 in the division. 1-5.
Look, no, that's
about to get cooked.
You said you ain't picking Green Bay until we beat Green Bay.
It might be 0-6.
I didn't say they are picking Green Bay. I said
no. You said you're not picking Green Bay until they beat Green Bay. They got to prove it to you.
Yeah, exactly. I'm still there. But what I'm saying is,
so who we beating? Who we got the chance of beating?
I have no idea. I'm telling you, in typical Bears fashion, we want them to roll over, so we can just go on and hopefully get Ben Johnson. No, I'm just telling you. I'm not rooting for losses, by the way. I'm done rooting for losses.
I'm with you. I just don't see it. I just don't see it because Detroit looks like No, not because of Chicago. Detroit is a way better team that they have been.
I'm not disagreeing.
No. Just hear me. I'm not saying you are. I'm just saying Detroit looks like a way better team, a well-coached team. All of that. I don't think they got no chance there. If I were to pick the team that got a chance of beating, is the team that we don't want to pick because we ain't beat them. I think they could beat. I'm not saying this because I'm only saying this because the quarterback been throwing BLTs and dumbass shit. I truly believe we could beat the Green Bay Packers both times.
I don't see that at all.
But at the same time, I don't see them beating San Francisco. I don't see them beating.
Okay, I got some wins for you.
Yeah.
This will be my Bears. Because
Minnesota, I believe they can beat.
And by the way, I'm not saying they will do this, but I'm saying in typical Chicago sports fashion, if you want them to go away, they're gonna give you some more false hope because that's just what they do. They did it last year for the Cleveland game, and niggas was like, oh, well, they mathematically in it. Look, my thing is they would sweep Minnesota.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
They will beat Seattle. They're split with Detroit in very, very fluky fashion.
I don't know.
And then, of course, they beat New England. That's 5 wins right there. That would be peak Chicago Bears. They get to 8-9 or 9-8, and then Paul's up there to him. Well, he did enough to keep his job.
I think that I'm with you. I just think the only shocker games is not the Detroit games. I don't think we split with Detroit.
You think it's Green Bay?
I think it's Green Bay.
Here's our resident backer.
Matter of fact,
you said they're gonna split with the Bears.
Matter of fact, I'll give you an extreme hot take that I truly believe. Because of the way we played Detroit last year, they're going to fucking embarrass us. Dan Campbell's sole goal for this season, outside of winning that division, which he should get, and all of that shit, is to destroy and embarrass the Bears for having a close game and should have lost to them twice.
And to your point, Bang, it's gonna look a lot like that Cowboys game. They're gonna be running hooks and ladders. The offensive linemen gonna be catching touchdowns. They're gonna fuck us up. I'm telling y'all right now. Like,
nigga, Ben, you want to come here?
I'm not
come where?
All I'm saying, the Bears never make it easy. They gotta put us through hell one more time. Our Bears fans think it's gonna drop to like 6-11. It ain't gonna happen. They gonna make it uncomfortable because that's just what the Bears do.
Yeah, I'm with you. I agree with you. I just think the uncomfortable is not the Detroit.
It won't be the Lions.
It's Green Bay.
Which will actually be more heartbreaking because these niggas gonna really talk crazy. That you might actually be right.
Exactly my point.
You might actually be right.
I think Detroit is gonna make an example out of us. But we gonna go up against Green Bay. You're gonna be like, what the fuck?
No, you know it's a more heart crushing one. They sweep Green Bay. And then niggas gonna be like, oh no, last time they swept the Packers. And I'm telling you, it's gonna be some way. They're not just gonna roll over and die because they just don't do that. They're gonna play with our feelings one last time. But speaking of Detroit, next overreaction. You look at the two best teams in football right now. Kansas City Chiefs, they are 7-0. If they beat Tampa Bay tonight, which I expect them to, because Baker Mayfield is throwing to me with all his wide receivers being hurt. They'll be 8-0 by the end of the night. The Detroit Lions are 7-1. But my overreaction, the Detroit Lions, not the Kansas City Chiefs, should be the Super Bowl favorite, no matter how much we respect Patrick Mahomes. Is that an overreaction?
Nigga, I said that shit last week. Hell yeah, that's not an overreaction. This Detroit team looks like they are not for the bullshit now. And they look like the Super Bowl favorite. And if they play the Kansas City Chiefs, I am saying this again, if they play the Kansas City Chiefs, I am unfortunate. When I said it the first time, I said it underneath my breath. Now, Detroit fans and all, y'all gonna look at me crazy because I said don't nobody give a fuck about Detroit but the Detroit Lions. If the Detroit Lions get to the NFC Championship, they're winning. And if they go to when they go to the Super Bowl, unless somebody get hurt on the way there, y'all are looking at the Super Bowl champions. This team looks solid as fuck, Jack. I don't know what the hell Dan Campbell doing over there, but he putting the fear of God in niggas to make them come out and do what they doing and to play how they playing. And again, this is why it's important for the Bears to get Ben Johnson, because not only do we need that, we need to take some shit away from that team. The Detroit Lions look scary.
Pavy, what you think? Do you think that we should still give the champs the benefit of the doubt, or do you think that we should be putting money on the Detroit Lions right now?
I mean, I don't know if I'll put money on Detroit, but I mean, number one, if I remember correctly, in the first game of the season last year, they did beat the Chiefs. If I remember correctly,
yeah, they did.
In that game, they did. They did beat the Chiefs. Also, the way that I'm not gonna say the Chiefs have been having fluky victories, but it hasn't come in normal Chiefs fashion that we've gotten used to seeing over the years. A lot of games. I mean, I think it was even like the Ravens game when they got down. It was a pass interference call, which was a fair call, and they've been sneaking out some victories. Now, at the end of the day, if it still says 7-0, it says 7-0. And when you look back, you're not going to see how you won every game. All that matters is that you win the games. But when I look at what Detroit is doing, I mean, Detroit is rolling over teams. Even their offense is very balanced offense. You have David Montgomery, also you have Gibbs. So as a pace switch up, the quarterback Goff. I mean, Goff is. I mean, at this point, I mean, I know Matthew Stafford did what Matthew Stafford did, but if he keeps going at this pace, damn near he might get a statue outside damn near for the play that he's been having in Detroit. Like you said, Dan Campbell, every time if you go in the lab and you want to make a football coach, I think Dan Campbell is probably the coach you would come out with if you go in the lab and you make an actual football coach. So, yeah, man, I think Detroit is playing great football. And like you said, as long as nobody gets, as long as none of their key component guys, I know Hutch went down earlier in the season, but none of their key component guys, especially on offense, get hurt. Man, I don't really see too many teams. I don't really see anybody honestly playing better football right now than what I see the Detroit Lions playing.
Dante, you just said that they're gonna beat the Bears like a government mule. Or do you think that they should be the favorite to win it all?
Yes, absolutely. I think they definitely taken that loss in the NFC Championship game last season personal. It's a situation where they're clicking on all cylinders, and even with the Hutchinson injury, I don't see too many people stopping them. Like I said, Jared Goff will be in the MVP conversation. He won't win it. It'll probably be Lamar or his backfield mate that we're about to talk about in a second. But no, I think the Detroit Lions are going to come out of the NFC, and I think they're going to, whoever they play in the playoffs, I think it's going to be the same thing. They're going to steamroll them. I think they're that good.
I think that they probably should be a favorite, but I don't feel real confident about them if they play anybody but the Chiefs. And I get all the football stats, everything like that. Maybe they do get Zadarius tomorrow in the trade. But who you got right? I just can't pick against Pat. I'm sorry. I think on paper it makes sense that the Detroit Lions should be the favorite because they've been playing better. They taking last year's NFC Championship loss personal. They blowing niggas out, and it looked like the Chiefs are just getting by. But they still have 15. They still have Andy Reid. And without an actual pass rush to get to that nigga, if Hutch was there, I would feel a lot better about that. You know what I'm saying? I would feel a lot better if Hutch was still there. But gun to my head, if they face the Super Bowl, I'd probably still have to pick the Chiefs. But if it's the field in the AFC, I got Detroit. Either way, Detroit looks like they're on a mission. And that's what Orlando said. Detroit hasn't played elite defense all year, but it doesn't matter because they blowing niggas out. Like, that's what they went to. This is how you know Detroit's a good team. I'm around St. Brown wore a hoodie that said Green Bay sucks, and they went there and took care of business. If anybody on the Bears wore that hoodie, the Bears would have got embarrassed because that's just what happens. Detroit ain't scared of Green Bay. They hold them and Aaron Rodgers' last game as a Packer stopped them getting the playoffs. And they've owned them niggas ever since. And they just got that mojo, and it really feels like on paper, yes, I agree with everything y'all saying. He said Lamar's only lost one game in the NFC. That's cool. Doing in the playoffs. And I think that he can't. I think Detroit can beat Baltimore. Baltimore, to me, has way too many fluky losses. Like, they look great one week, then look bad the next week. But speaking of Baltimore, Derrick Henry. If you're a Dallas Cowboy fan, I know you sick watching them go crazy after Jerry Jones said, I ain't paying the $5. He is already at 1,000 yards rushing, and we're only halfway into the season. He's got 11 touchdowns already on the ground. He's on pace to get around 20 if he keeps it up. And he's averaging 6.3 yards a carry. Insanity. My take is that Derrick Henry will be the first non-quarterback to win the MVP award since 2012, which was Adrian Peterson when he won MVP coming off that torn ACL. Lamar Jackson's killing it, but Lamar's won 2 in a row. You know how they are about giving people the award too many times in a row. Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes, but he leads the league in interceptions. He ain't really been playing well. Joe Burrow been killing it, but his team sucks. They're not going to give it to him. To me, this paves the way for Derrick Henry to get it done. You can just look how the team looks. The team is much different when they give him the ball. When they struggled to give him the ball at the beginning of the year, they weren't looking as effective as they were. And I think that for the first time in 12 years, voters, I'm like, yeah, this is usually a quarterback award. But he ended up getting 2,000 yards rushing, and he had about 17 touchdowns. We got to give it to Derrick Henry. Bang, I know you always said that non-quarterbacks don't even have a chance. Is your opinion changing on that?
Nah, my opinion is not changing on that. But at the same time, to me, this is your favorite for the MVP. But because he's not a quarterback, they're not going to give it to him. They will fuck around and give it to Joe Burrow before they give it to him. And if Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals was having a better season, if they had a better winning record, he would be the favorite for it. But nah, right now, if for us who watch football and we see what's going on, should Derrick Henry be the favorite? Yes, this man got 1,000 yards already. And you give him the rock within the first 3 yards of the end zone. He's with three yards left for the end zone. He's scoring every time. But between the story of Lamar Jackson being able to have a chance to win another one, but then also even though it was a little shaky yesterday, Josh Allen is not going anywhere. And the story of Jaden Daniels, the story of that has him as the favorite. Somebody, a quarterback, the second pick of the draft. Not a. I mean, I guess you can consider the Washington Commanders one of the charter franchises of the NFL. The story of that has him as the favorite, in my opinion, for the MVP. Derrick Henry is the favorite for the Offensive Player of the Year, which is, hey, man, you might not be a quarterback, but here's your version of the MVP award.
Yeah, I feel like what Stokey said, I don't see them giving it to MVP.
No, I'm not saying I'm not saying that he will, but Lamar is, if Lamar keeps going, he's more likely to win. But let's be real. If the Washington Commanders end up with the best record in the NFC, it's going to be hard for somebody to not vote that man, because that would be the biggest story in maybe the last 5-10 years of football, that a rookie has come in and did that with that type of a franchise, with also everything that went on with Daniel Snyder and all of that shit. If the Commanders win 13 games, win the East, and is the number one seed in the NFC, he's getting MVP.
Pav, what you think about the MVP conversation? I know it's not a quarterback award, but do you think that Derrick Henry should be looked at as a favorite right now?
I don't even see how you give it to Derrick Henry over his not backfield mate, but teammate Lamar, unless you just
backfield mate is appropriate.
Fair. Unless you just have, that's funny. Unless you just have extreme voter fatigue. I don't understand how you do that, because I know Lamar has, 2 MVPs or whatever, but this is the best football as far as especially playing the position of quarterback that I've seen Lamar play. I think, at least so far, I think this is probably Lamar's best season as far as being a quarterback. I know he's probably made more exciting plays with his legs in previous years, but I feel like he has more responsibility and he's actually winning more games through the air. And I don't see Derrick Henry as the reason why I don't want to say the Ravens offense has been dominant, but they have moments in which that they look dominant this season. I don't think Derrick Henry has been the reason for that. I think he's been a component in that, but it's not like he's like carrying the offense like Adrian Peterson did in 2012. Like, I don't even know who the quarterback was in 2012 when Adrian Peterson won MVP.
I don't either.
Exactly. Like, he was like, all you knew. I can't name you another skill position player on it. I can't name you another player on that football team. Forget skill position. Player on that football team. Okay.
I only reason I know that because he left the Bears.
Exactly. Like, I can barely name you another player on that team. So what Adrian Peterson was doing, he was carrying that entire football team. I don't think Derrick Henry is doing that. But what I do think Derrick Henry, and also even like Saquon, I think those two guys, like, I don't want to say they're bringing value back to the running back position, but I feel like they're at least bringing some value back and showing what your offense can turn into if you do have an actual feature back that you can hand the ball off to 20 times and get 100 yards a game. So, no, I don't think he should win the award, but I do think he's having an incredible season, and he'll probably get some votes.
Dante, what you think?
He'll get a couple votes, but no, it's not going to happen. I mean, we've pretty much established that this is a quarterback award. It's been a quarterback award for a very long time, and it's to the point where I'm not a big fan of adding awards, but I mean, you might as well have, MVP, which is your QB award, and then a different award for a different position on offense, because every year, like, we ended up giving this award to a quarterback. And so I think Derrick Henry, despite the fact he is having a great season, you have some fans in the comments saying, he's getting, not cherry picking, but he's getting touchdowns because Lamar's driven him down the field. Derrick Henry's great, and a lot of people tried to write him off and say that it was going to be the end, that he was about to decline, but he's in the perfect system for him, because Lamar, with the weapon that he is, not only as a quarterback but with his legs, bro, it's crazy. Like that offense. I think that's the team that I'm really looking forward to seeing in the playoffs when it gets cold and they really get to run the ball on people, and hopefully they don't switch up like they did last year and try to prove a point. Because, I mean, they're going to be tough to beat. But I think he's having a great year. But MVP, I don't think that's going to happen.
Let's go to my final overreaction, man. The Cincinnati Bengals, they started 0-3. They are currently 4-5. They have won a couple in a row. They are a game and a half behind the final playoff spot in the AFC. My overreaction is they will be the 7th team in NFL history to start 0-3 and to make the playoffs. You got Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow is having a great season. All of the faults of this team are not on the shoulders of Joe Burrow. He's playing with a god-awful defense. He's playing with a wide receiver who don't want to be there, and another one who's hurt all the time. And he has 2,244 yards passing, 20 touchdowns, and only 4 picks. I think they're going to make the playoffs. I'm not just saying that because I picked them to make the playoffs. And by my preseason pick was I had them in the AFC Championship game. Again, I had Joe being MVP. But if you look at the path for this team, I think it's very gettable. If you look in front of them, the teams in front of them, Broncos and Chargers, I think Pittsburgh is going to fall a little further down. And I do eventually think Baltimore is going to win that division. Pittsburgh looks good right now, but Pittsburgh still, I got to see them play tougher teams. They've got a real tough schedule when they get back from bye this week. I think they're going to fall a little down too. I think Denver is not going to hold on anything. Chargers are up and down. I think the Cincinnati Bengals are going to get the 6th or 7th playoff spot, and they're going to make it. Bang, I know you were heavy on the Bengals too. Do you think they can beat the 7th team, start on?
Goddamn right they can. I'm back on the Bengals bandwagon. I've never really left the Bengals bandwagon. I just looked at that division and being like, yo, it might be hard to get out of it. But looking at that schedule that they have too, I am still not leaving the Cincinnati Bengals bandwagon. I do think that they're going to make it to the playoffs. I do think that they're going to go far in the playoffs as well. It's just all about getting that defense shored up. That defense is the reason why they are where they're at right now. Like I said earlier, Joe Burrow is actually playing MVP ball. He just ain't got the defense that can hold them over. So, no, I don't think that's an overreaction at all. I think that the Cincinnati Bengals can make it to the playoffs and make a serious run at the Super Bowl this year.
You said run at the Super Bowl?
Yes, I picked them to win the Super Bowl. I picked them to win the Super Bowl. Why would I not continue to say that shit? Okay. I also think once you get to the playoffs, you're game planning really against one team, and some of those teams that they've had success with. So, no, I think that if they keep going, again, it's just like I said with the Bears, it's confidence. Once you start rolling off some games, you get some confidence, you can really start to do some things.
We'll see. You said when y'all Commanders play in the sense that, yeah, but their defense is still trash. That's what we were talking about.
Defense is still trash.
Defense still stinks. That's what we was getting at. But Pav, what you think? Do you think they can get in even though they started 0-3?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's possible. I mean, obviously, number one, when you have one of the better quarterbacks in the league when he's on the field, like that's been on my only core with Joe Burrow is he don't never be on the field. Like he be going out there and literally dying, and you don't see him until next year. But when he's on the field, he's definitely one of the best quarterbacks in the league, which usually guarantees you at least a playoff spot. So I do think it's possible. Again, they have weapons. The rest of the schedule doesn't look too intimidating. It's not like they were a bad team in general. They lost some of those games early on, like down the stretch, some of them. So it's not like they just, had to completely flip a switch. They just had to fix some things and actually start winning those games that they were losing. So yeah, I definitely think it's possible. I think they can string off a couple more wins. And again, their schedule doesn't look too intimidating. When I look at it, I mean, you got Baltimore this week. That is what it is. You got the Chargers, and you got the Steelers. You got Cowboys, Titans, Browns, Broncos, and Pittsburgh. That's not the most intimidating schedule. I think that you can string off a couple of those wins. So my answer would be, yeah, I think this very, very possible.
Dante, close us out on Overreaction Monday.
I don't think it's an overreaction. I think, that offense is good enough to carry them to at least a playoff berth. I know that division is tough, and we always, especially with the way the Steelers jumped out the gate, we were saying, this is going to be an extremely tough division with the way that they started. But I think as long as you got Joe Burrow, I know I give him his criticism, but he is one of the elite quarterbacks. And that defense, they're going to get smoked when they get to the playoffs, but they'll at least get there.
All right, that concludes Overreaction Monday. That concludes our NFL coverage for the day. But let's get to some basketball, man, with Weekend in the Association with Pavito. He joins us each and every Monday to talk some NBA. We got two topics on here that don't really got anything to do with what happened on the court, but I need to talk about those. We're going to first start off with Mr. Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid, who is yet to play a second of basketball this season. Had a little altercation with a reporter who covers the Philadelphia 76ers. Now, he shoved him. Whoever reported and said he punched him, I was actually hoping that he punched him just for, I just want to see what they're going to talk about on Inside the NBA. But this reporter, I'm trying to find Buddy's name, but this reporter, Marcus Hayes, from the Philadelphia Inquirer, he had an article that he put out, and he basically said in here, questioning Joel Embiid's professionalism, saying Joel Embiid consistently points to the birth of his son Arthur as a major inflection point in his career. He often says that he wants to be great, to leave a legacy for the boy named after his little brother, who tragically died in an automobile accident when Embiid was his first year with the Sixers. Well, in order to be great at your job, you must have to first show it the work. Embiid has been great at just the opposite. Now his 11th season, he consistently has been in poor condition. The poor condition apparently seems to have delayed his debut this season. Embiid fired back saying, people say I don't want to play. I've done too much to the city and I put myself at risk. And I do think that that's bullshit. Now, when he confronted Marcus Hayes about this in the locker room, and then he pushed him. He pushed him and he told him, word for word, the next time you bring up my dead brother and my son again, you are going to see what I'm going to do to you, and I'm going to have to live with the consequences. So this is what I feel about this. First of all, shout out. It's a big week for athletes telling journalists and fans to stay in their place, which I am 100% for. We saw Jason Kelsey. Jason Kelsey took a Penn State fan's phone and broke it because this person called him the F word. If you don't know what the F word is, put two and two together. That you know exactly what it is, and Jason Kelsey had enough of it, and actually he called Jason's brother. He called Travis Kelsey that. Jason had enough of it, broke the phone. And then you have this. I know some people were clutching their pearls. You should always keep your emotions in check. Well, I think that Marcus Hayes should have kept himself in check. You can get your point across of saying that Joel Embiid needs to play games, which he does need to, without bringing up his kids or his dead brother. You're lucky he didn't beat you up there. He gave you actually a warning, and he actually shot you solid by not doing what he really wanted to. And I just feel like it was petty. And I like that journalists or anybody who's in the media, you should stand up on your word. I never say anything on this show or on any of my platforms that I wouldn't say to that athlete's face. And that's the problem you see with this. I have no problem with Joel Embiid did. Is he going to get fined? Probably. Is he going to get suspended? Probably. But that's worth it. You got to watch your mouth in these particular situations. Pav, what did you think about this altercation between Embiid and Marcus Hayes?
Is dude black?
I have no idea, but again,
a name like Marcus Hayes, I'm assuming
Marcus Hayes sound like a nigga. So.
Yes, he's black. Yes, he's black.
Okay.
I mean, just what makes you type that up? Like at any point in time when you was typing that, you didn't feel no way about like typing that. Now, granted, I think we are all fair to critique Joel Embiid for his at times. I don't want to say the man don't never want to play because I don't never think the man don't never want to play. I never think that that's what it is. But your best ability is your availability, and a lot of times Joel Embiid is not available. So if you want to critique him being not available, which is in the bounds of basketball, that is completely and honestly fair. But when you start bringing up, for instance, I've been covering the league for as far as being a reporter in locker rooms consistently since 2019. I would never think to bring up somebody's family or like their off the court things in talking about things between the lines, right? Just because of the fact of that ain't got nothing to do with nothing. And that's how you get people mad at you because you bring up things that don't have nothing to do. Now, if this was a situation where he went out there and shot 2 for 30 and he wrote an article and said, like, you need to play better because that was disgusting. You shot 2 for 30. And then the man go up there and push him. It's like, come on, bro. You know you played bad. You shot 2 for 30. But in this situation, you bringing up a man's family. In theory, you should always keep your emotions in check and all those things like that. And does he deserve to be fined, suspended? Yeah, sure, whatever. But at the same time, it just don't work like that. Like human emotions come into play. And again, you talking about somebody's dead brother and their kid, bro. Like what makes you in the process of typing this article, what makes you type that up? And then what publication put this out? Like, who does he work for?
The Philadelphia Inquirer.
Nobody at the Philadelphia Inquirer read that and thought that, hey, brother, maybe we shouldn't do that. Like, so nobody involved in all of this. But this goes back to a whole nother deeper problem with, I don't know, journalism in this day and age. And like, you know, I granted, I wasn't, you know, around in the 70s and the 80s. I wasn't there, you know what I'm saying? But I think that with like the standard rules of journalism, there were quite granted, I don't know, I wasn't there, so I don't know, but there were certain things that probably wouldn't get printed, or that if they did get printed, they got screened a little bit more before they got printed. And I just don't see, especially this wasn't a blog, this was a Philadelphia Inquirer, an actual newspaper, right? Like you go and you buy that, right?
Yeah, no, it's a newspaper.
Yeah, like I don't understand.
I think that's what Stephen A. started there, right?
That's where Stephen A. came from. But Pavy, to your point, it's the exact opposite. This is one of those old school newspaper moments, because I'm somebody who like kind of like Bang went into detail last week. I grew up reading the newspaper, and like prime example, back at the crib, Jay Mariotti used to say all type of wild shit.
Hey, remember Ozzy called
they all
him,
used to do it.
Ozzy called him out.
Yeah, they all called him out, but no, like this was really an old school moment. He wanted to get, you know, some shock value when people were reading those last sentences.
Or the first Skip Bayless, Peter Vesey. Oh, Michael Jordan wanted to smack that.
Peter Vesey, they wanted to cook him, but no, like I just think as a writer, while I understand you want to make a point, and you know, you should never take personal shots. That was personal. That's something that's personal to Joel. Even if it's something that he said in a public space that was meant for public consumption, that's clearly something that's very personal to that man. We'll be talking about death of a family member and a child. So when you do that to try to get your point across, yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Like in terms of how it was written, it was well written, but it was just, you don't say that. Like, you know, we get it. We want Joel to play. We know, you know, the whole trust the process and everything he's been through with his injury history. But to take that type of shot is unnecessary. If you've been hired by the Philadelphia Inquirer, you're intelligent enough to where you can write that up in a different way to drive home the point that we want to see Joel play. Because that's what it comes down to. So, like, as somebody who's been in the locker rooms as well, me personally, I feel like the media should talk to them once they done getting dressed, like outside of the locker room. I've never been a big fan of going
I've never
in
been a big fan of that. Yeah, like, yo, this niggas is in here like what are you doing, yo? You cried around here while you getting dressed? What are we doing?
I know the Bears have already changed that rule. We can't interview them in the locker room anymore. They have a interview podium in the hallway of the locker room now.
Yeah, so they all need that, bro.
Yeah, they're gonna start doing that more.
Also, all of them, granted, I was there when Montrez caused a mutiny because when they lost by 40 to Memphis, and he said something that got printed, and then they caused a mutiny in the locker room. I say this to say all of them don't need to talk.
Yeah,
some of them people, you don't need to be able to walk up to them and ask them a question.
Yeah, that's facts.
That's very true. And I'll say this too. I think Jamel Hill put the best on Le Batard today. She said she read the article with the comment, and then she read it without the comment. And she said the article was just as good without the comment. And he's able to get his point across without the comment. And she feels that maybe he was doing that on purpose. And she said, if you're gonna do that on purpose, you gotta face the consequences that come with that. Bang, what you think about it? You on mute, bro. You on mute, dog.
God damn it, I thought I hit that motherfucker. But no, I read it because I was at the event, the Fourth Rope event, and I had hit my man in Philly, like, yo, what the fuck happened? Why they saying Joel like beat up a reporter or some shit? But then in finding out and looking at why, I was just like, oh, this is when the athletes get it right about journalists. Folks got to get away from that shock jock type shit. And journalists got that shit bad too. He didn't have to mention none of that shit. In fact, you didn't even have to insinuate any of that shit. So like Pav said, hey, you got to face the consequences of that shit. You can't sit up here and think, and then let me speak directly to journalists. You can't sit up here and think you can say what you want to say just because you got the pen. You can't hide around reportedly and allegedly and according to sources and all of that shit without getting checked by somebody. I'll use the Stephen A. Smith, Jaylen Brown as an example, and I think that's a light example because Jalen Smith was like, yo, I ain't really mad at you. I'm mad at your sources for not putting a face on it. But yeah, as a journalist, you got to protect your sources. So I get it. But Stephen A. Smith has to face the consequence. because of what he reported, even though somebody else ain't gonna put a name by it. So that's the shit that journalists, the L that we got to take when we have that information, we decide to report on it. On the flip side, when you have the nerve to be personal with somebody and then come in their area and try to ask them a motherfucking question, and you don't think that it ain't beyond the pale for them to look at your ass and be like, man, get your bitch ass up out of here before I fuck you up or threaten you or anything like that. If you say something that's real personal, but you want to hide behind the pen, no, I think that shit lame as hell. I think that shit is so lame. I think that it's so lame that they should do something about Buddy. I ain't saying that they need to fire him, but they need to take him off that Philly beat, because here's the thing. You run the risk of not only alienating with Joel Embiid, but what if the players say, yo, I don't really want to fuck with you, man. I don't even want to talk to you.
If you're going to do this to our MVP, what you going to do
What you going to do to me and shit? So, nah. I think they need to have a conversation with Buddy, and Buddy need to apologize. Could it be a situation like Tavon Diggs and the report out in Dallas? It could be some shit like that. Or it could be a situation where, simply put, we don't fuck with you and your magazine because you disrespected one of our players in a terrible way and you ain't holding yourself accountable for it.
Yeah, man. Let's move on to the next topic, which is actually pretty funny. We talking about people being accountable for words. We'll talk about the Drake DeMar DeRozan situation. Now, Drake was at the game this weekend because my boy Vince Carter got his jersey retired. Pav went viral with announcing that this is the best meme that we've had in a while, which is the top 5 meme already. Vince Sanity got that jersey retired, and Drake had some choice words in the press conference. Right now, we're gonna roll this video right now.
National treasure.
Yes, if you ever put a DeRozan banner up, I'll go up there and pull it down myself. That's the answer to your question. Is that what you're going to ask?
No. I didn't mention
well, you know DeRozan and Kyle.
Yeah, well, shout out to Kyle.
The statues are next.
Well,
yeah.
They are. Drake, thank you for joining us in the fourth quarter.
I'm getting cut.
You're not. You're not.
Let's cut back to Jesse one more time before I get out of here.
It's over. The effort, the energy, Raptors.
Okay, so there's a couple things I gotta say about that. One, you can't be intimidating with Bebe's kids' braids. That's number one. Number two, I have no problem with Drake being upset. Let's be very clear about that. I have no issue with Drake being mad at DeMar Wild for going on Breakfast Club tomorrow. That's still my homie. Nah, nigga, stay over there. You can't be over there dancing with my enemy after the personal relationship we had. You in a video where you going around calling me a pedophile. I think there's not going to be any issues. That's not when I have a problem. My problem is stand on your shit. You can't. It's very easy to go on a broadcast and talk crazy about a nigga when he's on the court. Very easy to do that. And there's a lot. I'm not mad at him saying that his jersey shouldn't go up there. When you're mad at somebody, you're not caring about facts. Now, there's niggas on the internet who had a debate about saying, well, it's a mute point because DeMar ain't going to get his jersey retired anyway. Stop it, okay? He's the Raptors' leading scorer. He was there longer than Vince, and he also had more playoff experience.
He's a better player than Vince Carter in a Toronto Raptors jersey.
In a Toronto Raptors jersey.
He might be a better player than Vince Carter in general, but that's a whole.
I don't know about that. But
he's probably a better player than Vince Carter.
No, that's
I don't know
about
if he's a better player than
man,
him.
you can't name me nothing Vince Carter did that wasn't a dunk.
Now I'm saying, yeah, name the one moment outside of going to graduate, nigga, instead of playing in the playoff game. Like, let's literally be real.
Hey, niggas, y'all, wow.
We going off the whole. I'm now I'm finna go and defend Vince Carter mode. But anyway,
that nigga said what? That nigga Dante said, what did Vince Carter do other than graduate and go play the game?
Which I can't really name nothing. You can't name no DeMar moments either, though.
He at least in conference finals a few times, if I'm not mistaken.
He's the franchise leading scorer.
Facts. No, that's the moment.
What are we doing here?
No, I said he should get a jersey retired. I'm just saying if we talking about key moments,
you can name one. You can name DeMar Bulls moments.
Yeah, we talking about as a Raptor.
He got more moments on the Bulls.
We talking about as a Raptor,
in general.
We talking about as a Raptor though.
I'm talking about in general.
Hey,
you said DeMar got more moments in general. Okay, I can't
No, he said that DeMar
argue
DeRozan has more moments as a Bull than Vince Carter has as a Raptor. Hey,
Fuck
hey,
up, I'm right.
I can't argue
Scott.
that. I can't argue that.
Like,
I really
okay,
can't
what-
argue
what-
that.
Scott, all Vince Carter, the dunking contest, graduate,
and when you
yeah.
dunk on Alonzo Mourning,
Dunks and graduation.
He
That's what we
invented
got.
club. Hey, he's the reason they got bottle service in Toronto, nigga. Leave
Nigga said
Vince
dunks
alone.
and graduation.
Anyway,
It was
nigga.
that Vince or that John Sally?
No, it was Vince. And it's in this documentary. Vince, the reason they have bottle service in Toronto. But anyway, point being, Drake, you can't say what you said DeMar when the niggas walking off. Stand on it. You're on the NBA court. DeMar ain't gonna come over there and smack you. Say what you gotta say. That's the issue I got. Stop being soft. And the reason, another thing that's annoying to me is this is why it's so funny, because he's still obviously annoyed about this. He's like, you still can't escape the song. The Dodgers came out to it in this parade, and now you're gonna walk around like you some tough guy. I'm not feeling with. He comes off real soft, and I think the thing that Kendrick has accomplished, and I think we talked about this in summer sessions a little bit, public perception. The public perception of Drake is they actually made him look corny. When you used to call him corny, people are, oh, you lame. How you gonna call him corny? Not even people who used to be big fans of Drake, they'll agree with you. And I just feel like what we saw on this past weekend, stand on it, bro. I'm not mad how you feel about it, but stand on it. But I do believe it was an amazing response.
To be fair.
Hold on. I think it was an amazing response for DeMar to put the Debo clip on his Instagram. But go ahead, Pavy.
To be fair, what you want me to do? Walk across DeMar was walking. You want to walk down the court and say, "Hey, fuck out of here"? Like, what you want him to do?
Well, if he's all the way down there, what's the point of you saying it? You know the camera's on you.
No, look. Listen. I think the whole fuck out of here thing was like you could have just. I think that was unnecessary. I think what he said when he was sitting down at the thing was fucking hilarious. I thought that was genuinely hilarious, and obviously, like, yeah, I'm mad, like, because apparently what you mean? Like, are you mad? Yes, I'm mad. Like, apparently, allegedly, like DeMar. I think that was the video from about the night that DeMar got traded. He went to hang out with Drake. Said he went to Drake crib. They ate. They talked for hours. And then you went, then fucking. Granted, you from LA. You know, obviously, you from LA, whatever. You from Compton. All that cool. But then I look up and you on stage dancing with all these motherfuckers about a song calling me a pedophile. I shouldn't feel away.
No, I told you, I would have been mad, but stand on it.
But again, I don't think he's not standing on it. Again, I think the fuck out of here, that thing was lame, whatever, but he's already all the way down that side of the court. I think that was lame, whatever. The camera caught him doing it, whatever, cool, boom, fine. But at the same time, I don't understand in that situation what, like, not standing on it would be. Like, what you want me to do, stop the game and run on the court and yell it at him? Like, I don't really understand what I'm supposed to do. But the whole
get your Will Smith on.
But
take my name out your mouth.
But again, I think the whole situation was just, I mean, I actually thought it was like funny banter, honestly. And I think it was just ironic that they decided to retire Vince's jersey the day that they play the Kings. Also, but I think the funnier part was the obvious lie of a story that Vince Carter told, when apparently he threw his armband.
No, Vince said it was a lie. Vince told Drake, I still don't believe you.
Yeah, like that, like all right, whatever. But in general, I thought it was a cool moment. And again, shout out Vince, and incredible for him for getting his jersey retired, and shout out him for all the things he did for the NBA and also for the Raptors.
And people gotta start acting like jersey retirements are like Hall of Fame inductions. Vince got his jersey, getting his jersey retired this year is a net. So I don't want to hear.
Wait. He shouldn't.
I'm with you.
He shouldn't.
I'm with you.
He should not.
That's my point. That's the point I'm trying to put out.
I got sad news for our generation, bro. It's about to be a lot of jerseys going up that we're gonna be like, what the
It's
fuck
a lot of niggas in the Hall of Fame that we be like, what the fuck is going on? I don't think Vince Carter's a Hall of Famer. But
I don't either. But I understand why he did.
I don't think his cousin is.
Him or his cousin.
Yeah, but go ahead, Dante. What you think about what happened?
I mean, I think it was just corny. Like, that's been the overall theme here. Like, this shit was corny. And like you said, this is further proof that he's still clearly, affected by it. The whole cameras on you shit, like, he knew that. So, like, that, I'm not gonna say he planned it, but like, he knew that people would react to him looking at DeMar, him and Chubb standing up while they sitting there. So, that was corny, and it kind of just plays back into everything Kendrick said in the songs about him. Like, I like Drake with the melodies. I don't like Drake when he act tough. Like, this was corny as fuck. But, I mean, to everybody's point, he does have a right to be, a little ticked off with DeMar because, like, you was my homie. So, like, if anything, I would expect you to play a neutral as opposed to jumping in the video and walking on stage when they calling me a pedophile.
That nigga said, but see, that's the thing. Like, they family's cool. So, it's like, yeah, I'm cool with Drake. Well, Kendrick family is cool with DeMar family. So that's
so it's gang ties.
Damn, Scott. Scott. Thank you for taking my shit. Because that's exactly what I was about to say. Niggas, all fun and games until your family is cool with the other nigga family. Yeah, we could be all cool. We could go out to eat and kick it and talk after I got traded and all of that shit. But there's levels to friendship. Yeah. And if that nigga family, especially not only is cool with all of them niggas, but if anybody in that nigga family still live in Compton, nigga, he got to get on that stage and jig. Because the last thing you want to do is be neutral, because the worst thing you can be is neutral in some cases. I'm not mad at Drake being upset, but I'm just going to speak for me. I'll be upset, but then be like, well, what else he's supposed to do? So I'll give my 5 minutes of being like, oh, man, what the fuck? But DeMar DeRozan still got love for Drake. He do. It's just that his love for his family and his neighborhood is more than that nigga. And for me, let's story time with Bang real quick. I'm going to make this quick.
All right.
I went to Michelle Clark Middle School in 1993 to 1996. I got jumped on by some foes. One of the foes that jumped on me was a nigga that I knew. But I beat up 3 of the niggas that jumped me. He couldn't just stand there. He had to jump in. Because if he didn't, that nigga was going to be in violation. The next day I came to school, niggas thought we was going to fight. And that nigga was like, oh, man, no, that's cool. Not only that, hey, Lee took care of himself, man. What's good? We straight? We good? I was like, yeah, we straight. We good. For about 5 minutes, I was like, man, I might have to fight. And I might end up getting fucked up even more on this round. But the respect level, I was like, all right, I get it. You could not jump in because then you get fucked up and you might get fucked up worse than I did. All right, man, no harm, no foul. And nobody bothered me for the rest of that year. Some shit you just got to take and be like, all right, man, all right, I get it. And on this one, if I was Drake, I'd be mad for 5 minutes. But if all of that nigga family is in fucking Compton, they ain't in fucking Toronto, what you expect for it to happen? That nigga family is there. They all family. They know each other. They grew up with each other. Their level of friendship is going to be bigger than that. Now, Drake knows some shit that we don't know, and that all them niggas was like, fuck you while you was in Toronto and shit, then that's cool. But some shit, especially if this is what you're going to do, Drake, man, you got to chill out with that performative shit, because that shit that happened on that court, that shit that happened in front of the TV, not the shit that he was doing with the announcers, because that right there, jokes and all of that. But all of that pussy shit and all that, man, come on, bro. All that shit is performative. Because at the end of the day, that nigga was in your city. And if you wanted to, you could have stopped that tour bus if you wanted to, since you Drake. And since you got all of this and all of that shit. That's whatever.
I'll say this. We're bringing our college football correspondent, Kyron Samuels, in about 5 minutes.
I heard that gang shit. I don't know if you want to be a part of the show.
What's called is this one thing. Last thing I'm saying is, like you said, it's neighborhoods. I think Problem DJ Quick was on Drink Champs, and they were asking him, Nori was like, so whose side you got in the beef? And then Quick was like, yeah, I'm with Dot. People Compton, but I still like Drake too. And Problem was like, nah, it's Dot. He said his sister and my sister best friends. It's Dot. So, like you said, it's the family thing right there. And I did think it was funny that this ended up with, shout out to friend of the channel, Glass Malone, saying that, he can't run the fade. He said, Debo got hands, and you got Whack 100 on there talking about this gang bang, homie. Like, it's just some stuff, Drake. Just stay over there, okay?
Stay over there.
Just stay over there. Like, I'm not saying that Drake can't get nobody touched. He got enough money to get people touched, but stay away from that Compton stuff, bro. Like just stay over there. That's what I thought about. Like, I ain't got a problem with him being mad, but stand on your stuff, man. But final topic, and we're gonna move on and bring Kyron on. But Pav, man, we looking at the early standings here in the NBA going on. You've got the Golden State Warriors, who currently right now, like obviously it's November. Ain't gonna put too much dip on it, but they're third in the West at 5-1. Steph Curry has missed the last couple games, but they're playing free. They look like a fun team. Buddy Hield's been doing this thing. Draymond only has one tech. Wiggins looks a lot better. My question to you, are the Warriors fun, and do you think they can actually stay in a top 6 bracket and avoid the play-in? And granted, this is very early.
I mean, I've never found joy in watching the Warriors, but if you find joy in watching the Warriors, like, yeah, it's a fun team to watch. No, it's a fun team to watch. Like, obviously they got some of the old guys out there, so like, well, out of there, so they play much faster. Buddy Hield has probably found the most perfect situation for him. I mean, you know, I think that he kind of got lost in the shuffle here in the past couple of years, but if people don't know, he's one of the best 3-point shooters in the history of the NBA. So now if you lose Clay, I mean, I guess who else would you rather replace him with than somebody else who was also one of the better 3-point shooters in NBA history? So Buddy's playing great. And yeah, when Steph comes back, you know, I think they can still stay within the 5-6 seed. I think they can win, you know, 47 games, something like that. Like, they're not a bad team. They're not going to be a bad team. They're not a bad team. But I do think a lot of these guys, I think that they're running a lot of these guys out there because they probably are looking for a trade at some point in time. I think that in order, like, this team can't win a championship. I think they can make the playoffs, and I think they can lose in the first round in a very exciting first round series to somebody. I think there are clearly teams that, again, in a 7-game series, I have over them, like 3, 4, 5, 6 teams I have over them in a 7-game series. But I think it's cute for right now. And again, I think the reason that he's running, he as in Steve Kerr is running these, I think he's running they got like 11 people playing right now, which obviously is not sustainable in a playoff series. You're not playing, you're not playing 11 people in a playoff series. You're just not. Like, people don't do that. He's running as like it's the FIBA team or something like that. Like, you just don't do that. But I think he's doing that because there are people like, you know, Jimmy may be a guy who may come up for trade. Like, you never know. And you got you want to show that, yo, we got assets. We got this guy. We got this guy. We got that guy. So I think it's cute for right now. Yeah, I think if you like this style of basketball, I think it's fun. But yes, I do think that they can be, you know, a 6 seed or something like that. But I don't actually expect anything significant from this Warriors team as it is currently constructed.
Do you like what you see from Oklahoma City Thunder? They're undefeated right now. Them and the Cleveland Cavaliers, only undefeated teams. I don't believe in the Cavs whatsoever. They're gonna come back down to earth. But
I don't think the Cavs gonna come back down to earth, man.
Okay, well, tell me why you don't think they're gonna come back there.
I mean, number one. Look, number one in your starting lineup, basically you have 4 All-Stars. Like, literally, I think Evan Mobley hasn't been an All-Star, but if before the season, if we all sat down and I was like, yo, I think Evan Mobley can be an All-Star, would any of you have disagreed with me?
No.
So, okay, so you have Jared Allen, who's been an All-Star, Evan Mobley's been an All-Star, Donovan Mitchell, and Garland, who's also been an All-Star. I think Garland had a very weird season last year. And also, I think that when they first made the Donovan Mitchell trade, I think that this is the Cleveland team that you expected to see. I remember those projections at first. People was projecting them at like 55 wins. You have Kenny Atkinson there, look at what Kenny Atkinson did with those Nets teams. The D-Lo Nets teams when they went I think 41-41 and made the first round and had that pretty interesting series with the Sixers back in the day. So I think they have a better coach than what they had in the past. I think Atkinson is an upgrade over Bickerstaff. I also think that everybody's secure, right? Like, you know, Donovan Mitchell is going to be there. Last year, there was this whole rumor of like, oh, does he want out? Does he want that? I think now he's solidified, you know, he's in Cleveland. And sometimes it just takes a while. Again, I think that a lot of people thought this was a Cavs team you would see immediately the first year once they made the trade. Sometimes I think it takes a while. So I actually do not think the Cavaliers come down to earth. I'm not saying that they're going to, you know, get to the finals or that they're going to win the Eastern Conference. But I think they could be the 2nd seed. Look at the East. Why not? I mean, I think the teams that we, you know, as far as maybe, you know, the Knicks, they look good. The
Pacers are taking a little longer to gel.
The Knicks are taking longer to gel. The Pacers, I thought they would be a little bit better, but like they didn't come out like world beaters. The Bucks are broken. Yeah. Like, Bucks are broken. Like, that is some whole other shit.
You talk about a trade, nigga. Giannis gonna be on the trade block soon.
Paolo just got hurt for the Magic, so he's out at
Yeah.
least a month. So like, why do the Cavs have to come back down to earth? But as far as Oklahoma City goes, yes, I love what they're doing. We gonna have to have a Chet Wemby conversation if this shit continue going the way that it's going. We gonna have to have a Chet Wemby conversation because I got some goddamn thoughts about Wemby. They need to confiscate all Kevin Durant footage away from Victor Wembanyama. Confiscate that shit. I don't want to see him watching nothing Kevin Durant did. Don't show him nothing but Dirk and Tim Duncan footage. Confiscate every Kevin Durant footage away from him. But Chet looking really nice. Jalen Williams looking nice. Shea is taking more threes, which is a little interesting to me because he can't shoot like that.
Yeah.
But he's taking more threes. But if he can hit some of those down, obviously his mid-range game is incredible. So if he gonna go out there and he could go out there and make like 4 threes, and that becomes even like a more threat, he's gonna be even more unstoppable. Hartenstein is hurt. And again, they got like, I mean, pretty much for the most part, everybody on their roster can shoot, dribble, and pass. Like pretty much anybody can take you off the dribble. So like this OKC team, yeah, man, like they look really, really well. And they're winning games the way that you want to see a good team win games. Like even the other day against the Clippers, I think it was Saturday. They were close with them. And then the fourth quarter came and they was like, yo, we gonna stop playing with y'all. And they just won by like 15 points. That's what good teams are supposed to do. So yeah, they look good. And again, the Cavs, I don't think the Cavs have to start losing basketball games, in my opinion. I don't think that is something that just has to start happening.
We gonna see. By the way, Clippers are a 2-pack of ass. By the way, them niggas stink. At least you got all them bathrooms though. Got all them bathrooms.
That scenario though.
Yeah,
LED lights though.
Yeah, LED lights though. Got standing room only for the bro fans. But Pav, thank you for joining us. Pav joins us each and every Monday to break down this past weekend in the NBA. Man, you can follow Pav at Pavy World on all social media platforms. Since Dante isn't producing today, Dante gets some time off. So Dante gets
cold. My dog, Nikhil in the building.
Shout out to super producer Nikhil. You can follow Dante at OctoberZonte on Twitter. He'll be back with us on Friday. We'll be taking a quick break, and then me and Bang will be back. Mike, go ahead.
Real quick to my brother Marley. Right now, this just is light kicking my ass right now, but I am about to go do what you said I was doing. So
he said, I ain't high then, but I'm finna get high now.
You was close, brother.
We're gonna take a quick 1-minute break. Then me and Bang will be back with our college football correspondent, Kyron Samuels. We're gonna talk about everything that went on this past weekend in college football, man. So we'll be right back in a minute.
So cool. Triple double hat trick, I know the code too. Ice trade, go for trade, yeah we cold too. Getting paper on display, haters old news. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not.
Welcome to Block 3 of I'm Not Gonna Hold You, man. We're going to wrap this show up with our guy, Kyron Samuels, man. You can follow Kai at Kyron Samuels on all social media platforms, man. He is Sports Illustrated's columnist. He talks all about, college sports, everything college football. If you want to get all your college football intel, this is the man you speak to, man. Kai, man, it's been a couple weeks. How you feeling?
I'm doing good, man. Happy to be back on and talk some football with y'all for sure.
Definitely, man. Definitely. Let's just get right into it, man. Last time we had you on, we were talking about Colorado, talking about how well they've been playing and trying to see if there was a way for them to be able to get ranked, to be able to get a bowl game. And they have made big strides on that since they are officially ranked. I love watching those vlogs that Deion Sanders Jr. and Well-Off Media, they put on their YouTube. And I love how they're kind of like, yo, we're ranked, but it don't change the main thing. We're still trying to do our thing. They just came off their bye week. They've got some big games coming up. What do you think about how
real quick. Bang owes, I've been waiting.
Oh, yes, you do. Yes, you do. Go ahead.
Bang owes the Colorado Buffaloes an apology. He owes Deion Sanders an apology.
And owes Scott Lewis an apology.
He owes Scott an apology. Courtney does too, but I'm here. All right. Mm-hmm. She could use her birthday as an excuse.
Courtney on her birthday. We're going to bring her back up to the podium on Friday.
Hey, she could have came in and just said that. Though. But nah, I owe the Colorado Buffaloes, their fans, the coaching staff, the players, the administration, all of the graduates, Michael Westbrook, Cordell Stewart, Rashawn Salam and his family. I owe all of them an apology. Kai.
Derek White.
Derek White too.
No,
Goddamn, who else? Who was that? Chauncey Billups. Did he go to Colorado?
I don't know if he went to Colorado. Did he go to Colorado?
All of them.
I don't think so.
All of them. Apology.
But yeah, it's just good to see because I felt like they were building towards this all last season, even though they were, still losing games, right? If you look at the margin of the losses, they were losing games close. They were getting worn down at the end because they didn't have the depth that you should have from a Power 5 roster because they turned over 80 guys in the transfer portal and guys leaving and whatnot. So I thought they made strides last year. Then I thought this year, early on, I saw them build on it, and I really like that in terms of their defensive prowess because I think that Shedeur and Travis and Jimmy Horn and Western, those guys, they're talented enough. They're going to score points on mostly everybody. But the defense was what was really holding them back. And they had a historically bad defense last season. But this year, they have been incredible, particularly in the second half. They've only allowed 56 points all season in the second half. So they're averaging about a little less than 7 points a game in the second half. So if you aren't winning the game at halftime, statistically, you haven't been able to beat this Colorado team. There's been only one team, and that was Kansas State, which was the game that Travis Hunter went down with that injury initially, that was able to kind of weather the storm and score some points in the second half. But even that was a 3-point loss on a last-minute drive. They had to walk them down and do it. The way you have to beat Colorado is completely different than what you had to do last year. So shout out to Prime and those guys because they stood their ground, right? Everybody says you can't win this way. You can't turn over the roster at this high of a clip. You can't have people on the sideline. You can't have a DJ in the locker room. They did it their way, and they're still going. Now they're legitimately in the thick of the Big 12 hunt because Kansas State lost this past weekend. Texas Tech beat, I believe it was, Houston this past. Houston beat Texas Tech, I believe, but 2 losses they really needed to stay in the thick of the hunt. Now they're tied for second place right now. If they win out, you'll see Colorado play for a Big 12 title game, and they're favored for every game they play from here on out. So it's legit turned around in a way that not even people that believed in them thought it would turn around.
Here's a question I got for you, man, because I always say this on Twitter. I'm like, it's always mighty quiet on the timeline when the Buffaloes either win. Why do you think? Is it just the Deion factor of Deion being who he is, who Prime has always been, is why people hate this team? Or do you think there's more to it, why people never give them the respect that they get? I even tweeted, I think when they officially got ranked, somebody was like, well, they're going to be in a bullshit bowl. I'm like, yeah, but y'all said they were going to win 2 games.
Yeah. But the thing is, right, so what I did is I went back and I looked at, because I'm a writer. I work in the industry. I went and looked back at ESPN preseason rankings. I went back and looked at Yahoo Rivals. I went back and looked at On3, all these teams, right? And the preseason projections had Colorado as having one of the most difficult schedules in the country because everybody thought the Kansas, Arizona, Utah, and those teams were going to be much better than they are right now. They've kind of fallen off a little bit. But to me, it kind of spells out the bullshit because going into the year, you said they had one of the hardest schedules, right? And now what is everybody saying? Oh, the Big 12 ain't that good. Yep. They ain't playing nobody. But they've already played 4 teams over 500. 5 teams over 500. They're 3-2 in those games. And then the game that everybody kind of gave them shit for at the beginning of the season, the North Dakota State game, if you look at them in FCS football, they're undefeated since that game, ranked number 1 in FCS football. That game is going to end up being a quality win. Let's say they go 10-2 and miss out on the Big 12 title game for some reason. Or 9-3, and they're fighting for position for a major bowl game. That North Dakota State win is going to be better than a lot of lower level Power 4 wins. It's going to be better than almost every G5 win you can think about. So those are quality wins. Baylor, who is now 5-4, sitting there back over 500. They already have a win over Cincinnati, who's going to be another bowl eligible team. They went to war with Kansas State, and even though they fell short by 3 points, they've been to war with quality ball teams, and they've beat most of them. So all this stuff is just bullshit. I think people don't want to own up to their biases, and I think it really does boil down to Prime, right? Because we know if Shedeur Sanders was at any other school, he'd be a quarterback conversation right now. Yeah. If Travis Hunter was at any other school, and I mean any other school, the Heisman race would be over. Nobody would be able to talk about it. But people hate him that much, Prime, that is. I think they just don't want to own up to that. And that's okay because it's fueling that program and it's fueling that fan base. They're breaking records. They're about to play on TV for the record time. They just flexed them into the 10 o'clock window next week against Utah, who is a losing team this year. So that's how big the brand is now and how much that hate has kind of fueled the viewing process and the crowd and the amount of revenue that they're generating for that program. It's probably the best thing that could have happened to Prime and those guys.
And also, too, you talk about how bad the defense was. You got to give credit to Warren Sapp for the way he's turned that around. And I even saw that in one of their vlogs. He was like, nah, like we changed some stuff around, and who said my defense can't do this? And they really like they're all on one accord. And even when it talked about the Heisman conversation, Deion said it the best, like, oh well, they're not considered. Oh yeah, because they're my sons. So that just really has that thing levering over it. Bang, my question for you, I know you weren't high on them, but what have you seen that is kind of like, I don't know, like that you see has changed since the beginning of the season?
Man, that's a hard question to think about because it's a lot. Come
like
back to
defensively. We'll come back.
I mean, because it's more of a question that I have.
Okay.
More than anything, because to me this has been surprising. So, Kai, I actually have that question for you. It has to be more than just the transfer portal. Like from a coaching staff standpoint, what do you feel has been different from this team to help them get over the hump on the side of the ball, as that was just disastrous last year?
Well, one, it's a culture thing. Like I think people say that word all the time in sports and music. You hear it all the time. It's a lot of cliche, a lot of bullshit a lot of time, right? But that's my favorite thing about this team and this program right now is that they haven't changed at all. It's the same. It's the same stuff that the foundation and the principles they were building on last season. It's a belief in the system. It's a belief in the talent. These coaches went out and got the entire defense, right, is comprised of transfers from G5 level, P5 level, FCS transfers. They went out and found the guys that they think fit that culture the best, and they put them in a room and made them compete for the spots. And this is the result that they got. Like, it's about competition. It's about culture. It's about belief. He took a first-year defensive coordinator, Coach Livingston, a young white guy who not many people believed in, gave him a defensive coordinator job, and the defense has turned around. He went out and got Warren Sapp and those guys. That defensive line, it has real depth.
Okay, so
it
that's
real depth.
So I'm glad that you said Warren Sapp, because I didn't want to say anything and then it be out of turn. That's why I want to ask you that question. So I will ask you about the Warren Sapp effect. Warren Sapp is a Hall of Fame defensive tackle, 3-tech, one of the best defensive tackles in NFL history. The trenches on the offense and the defensive line of the ball was where they struggled at last year. Shedeur couldn't get the ball off without getting touched, and that defensive line couldn't move anybody. Mm-hmm. But I guess the question is, how has Warren Sapp and his knowledge of the game, his knowledge of the trenches, and his Super Bowl pedigree, has that been a big factor in what we've been seeing? Because I don't want to call him a celebrity coach, but I mean, you don't necessarily think like this dude has a real full effect on the team, but when you look at that defensive line, they're getting after it. So has Warren Sapp been an effective member of this defensive coaching staff? And what do you see going forward? Because now people are talking about potential playoff berths and stuff too.
Right. So that's a twofold question. I'll answer it two ways. One, Warren Sapp is not a guy that lacks for coaching experience. We all know who he was as a player, but this is not really a widely discussed, widely known thing. But he's bounced around the NFL, and he was doing, an internship with the Washington Commanders. He's done stints with the Colts. He's done stints with the Miami Dolphins. He's been around a lot of places in the NFL, whether it be for a month stretch in the offseason or a pass rush specialist during the season. He's been around to where he's been in rooms. He's helped game plan before. He's helped specifies, pass rush patterns, pass rush plans for NFL guys. He has been around enough rooms, and you couple that with his his playing experience. This wasn't something that was out of his depth. He has been preparing for this. He had been working for this, and I think he just found the perfect opportunity for a guy. And he talks about how working with younger guys has helped him kind of reignite his love and his passion for teaching, not because he always going to love football, but for teaching the game. He was fishing every day and spot coaching here and there, but he loves those guys, right? So I think when you see the young guys, you want to help them succeed. That works. And so the experience that he had coaching, and then the drive that he has for teaching young guys, and two, receiving it, right? Like, you're always going to be more receptive to somebody who's done it before, preferably done it at a high level. And there hasn't been many people that have done it at a higher level than Warren Sapp. So you can have a young coach who never played before teach the game. They could be a damn good coach. but it's always going to mean a little bit more coming from a Hall of Famer, a guy that you've seen do it, a guy that you've seen go through adversity, some hardships, and bounce back from it. So this shit means something to him because he still, he bounced back. He's done the media thing. He could live off, for his savings for the rest of his life now. Like, he's financially stable again. Like, he could do that, but he wants to be there. He wants to be helping. He wants to teach you. And that's always going to mean a lot more coming from a guy like Warren Sapp.
Definitely, man. We're going to see how they fare this week against Texas Tech. Let's move on to another team that's kind of moving their way up the ranks, man. They are 9-0, just like my Miami Hurricanes, but I feel like this team has had some stronger wins. That is the Oregon Ducks. They just coming off a double-digit win off the defending national champion, Michigan Wolverines. They won 38-17. They are number one right now in the polls. Kai, do you think that this is a team that should rightfully be number one? Is this a team that you feel could go out there and make a big run and be able to win a championship?
Yeah, this is 100%. Through my SI stuff, I've been able to cover this team this year. So I've been kind of in the trenches with them a little bit since the beginning, right? And this is a team, if you asked me this 5 weeks into the season, I would have said, hell no. But they've worked their way. Like, I had, 3 questions about this team. One, could they improve in the offensive line? Because in 2022, they gave up 5 sacks the entire season. 2023, they gave up 5 sacks the entire season. In the first 4 weeks of the season, they gave up 10 sacks. So the last 2 years combined, that's how bad they were in the first 4 weeks of the season. They had already matched the sack total from the previous 2 seasons combined. But they've taken steps. They've only given up 1 sack since then, and that was actually a quarterback scramble on Dylan Gabriel where he should have thrown the ball away or hit an underneath pass. So I'm not even putting that one on the offensive line. They've been flawless since after that not Michigan State game, the Oregon State game. Ever since the Ohio State game and on, they've looked like the best team in college football to me. I don't know if I trust them more than I would a Georgia or probably even, a team like Alabama or LSU if they were able to get in. Texas, I think I trust those guys a little bit more because I've seen it more times. But if I'm just going at face value, take all my bias or foresight or whatever you want to call it out of the situation, I think they've earned the right to be the number one team in the country. They have a top 3 win, and with the Ohio State win, I think Georgia win over Texas, Alabama win over Georgia, and then Oregon win over Ohio State. Put them in whatever order you want to put them in. Those are the 3 best wins this season. So they have that. They went on the road into Michigan and dominated Michigan. They went on the road to Purdue and dominated Purdue, which doesn't sound like much, but that's where dreams are going to die. It's a saying in college football. West Lafayette is where dreams go to die. Ohio State missed out on the national championship one year for losing at Purdue. So they've handled business every step of the way. They dominated Oregon. Arguably one of the best coaches in college football. I mean, you look at the end of the game, right, with the Ohio State situation, won them a football game there. You look at this past weekend, Dan Lannon talked about it. He got a 4th down penalty when it was could have been a 1-possession game. He earned another first down for them by coaching. He went spread out and did a spread formation on a punt. The Michigan guys didn't know how to cover it. He lined up illegally over the center. They got a first down out of that. That was coaching. That was preparation. And there's not a lot of guys that are that intent and that focus on the details. So they have one of the best coaches. Shout out to offensive line coach Alik Terry, young black guy, my age, right? Doing it at a young age, dominating at a Power 5 conference with that offensive line. So they've answered every question I have. I just don't know if I trust it long term, right? Like Dylan Gabriel, he's been playing very good, but is he going to have that game where he throws that uncharacteristic interception in the red zone and comes back to burn them? Are they going to have the uncharacteristic, special teams blunder? That's all. Like, we're talking national championship playoff type stuff right there. In terms of right now earning their spot, they're the number one team in the country, in my opinion.
Oh, I got beat out put in the chat. He said, "Is Clemson doomed?"
Yeah, Clemson was doomed. Clemson has been doomed since. I want to pinpoint the loss. Clemson has been. Let's say Clemson's been doomed for the last 3 seasons. As soon as DJ Uyagale took over the team, well, shout out to DJU, right? First of all, I'm gonna just throw this in there. This ain't got shit to do with shit, but he's not as terrible as everybody makes him out to be. Like, if you ever looked at the situation after he leaves, it always gets worse. When Kate Klubnik took over for their team, Clemson, they went back a step, lost the most games they lost in 10 seasons. After Florida State, when he went down with Florida State, they look like the worst team in college football at the Power 4 level. They won 1 game this season. So he ain't the problem. Oregon State, look at Oregon State this year. Like, he ain't the greatest, but everywhere he leaves, right, every time he takes a step back, that team gets worse. But Clemson has been doing for a while because they refuse to adapt. But not because they lack for any resource. It's not because Dabo's not a good coach. He's a very good coach. he's just stubborn as fuck. He is a guy that has refused to adapt with the times. And I think you've seen it with a lot of his coordinators, right? Like BV getting out of there should have told you something. Oklahoma wasn't the best job. I mean, there was other jobs he could have waited for, opened up. I mean, imagine if he waited a couple years and then Saban retires. BV would have been a prime candidate to take over Alabama. I think Coach Todd Bates, who coached me in college, was defensive line coach for him at Clemson. Recruited a ton of guys. Dexter Lawrence, all those guys that you came to know and love, Brian Brissy and those guys. Todd Bates product. So he left to go to Oklahoma, right? So I think you saw the staff start to realize it. Some of the players start to realize it. And it's just a simple thing. You need to get with the times, add talent in terms of skill production. That team was outmatched speed and physicality-wise against Louisville. Their team was outmatched physicality and speed-wise against Georgia. You can beat Wake Forest and the rest of the ACC schedule like that with that team because you're Clemson, and you're just going to have better players than those guys. But when it's time to get against those guys that get to the nitty-gritty, they didn't have the speed or the physicality to match up with two of the best teams that they played this season. And I don't know if they'll win against Miami if they were to see them in a ACC championship game. I think they would get beat by Miami as well. So Dabo is still a very good coach. That's still a good program that's going to win 8-9 games a year at the floor. But in terms of competing, they're cooked.
Final topic for you, man. This Saturday on ABC, the big time primetime matchup. You've got 14th ranked LSU going up against 11th ranked Alabama. Our co-host Courtney will be there. She's celebrating her birthday week, so she will be there in Death Valley for that game. I'm rooting for LSU because she made fun of the Bears this week, and I'm wishing her pain this weekend in return for what she said about my football team. But how do you see this matchup going this weekend between these two teams?
Well, the one thing that's been consistent for both teams this year is costly mistakes. So it sounds simple. It sounds like the most reductive born analysis ever, but it's the truth. Which team makes the least amount of mistakes? And if I'm going off of that, I'm looking at the trajectory of the teams right now. I would say Alabama is probably the better team in terms of the trajectory right now, especially if you look on the defensive side of the ball. After that Georgia game, that defense has been pretty locked in. After the Vanderbilt game, the defense has been pretty locked in. Against South Carolina, they were very good against South Carolina. There were some crazy plays and some special team blunders and some miscommunications, but they were very good in that game. They forced 12 turnovers in the last 3 games. You look at how good they were against Tennessee, forcing 3 turnovers on the road, and then the last 2 drives, they got stops to give the offense opportunity to win. You can't ask for much more from your defense on the road in front of 100,000. And then you look at what they did against Missouri, blanking Missouri. It was the first time Missouri had been shut out in, I believe, over 8 years. So the defense of trajectory is on the right path. Kane Walnick is in his first year as defensive coordinator, and that guy is really starting to figure it out. And I think they get a little bit more of a pass rush from Q Robinson and Quay Russaw and those guys. I think the defense is where I'm going to leave my hat on because Garrett Nussmeier has been inopportune with the mistakes and the turnovers. And Milroe, although he had the worst game of his career against Tennessee, I will say that he has not been a characteristically turnover-prone quarterback. He's a guy that normally protects the football. If I'm looking at over the course of the season, he's protected the football well. He's getting a week to get healthy and get his legs back up under him. And the quarterback run has been very dynamic against teams like LSU. And I'm looking at a guy like Ryan Williams, who I think he just has the ability to take over the game, right? If they force the ability to do that, it's been a little bit shaky. I don't agree with the fear factor thing, by the way. If you watch, I'm glad you said that, right? I'm just forget the rest of what I was about to say. If you watch Alabama football play the last 3 years, they've been in games like this all year. The Auburn game last year, they needed a Hail Mary to beat those guys at the end of regulation. The Arkansas game last year was a 1-possession game. They needed to go down and score first down to keep the ball away from those guys to go win that game. The Texas A&M game on the road last year was a 26-21 game where they needed to go ice the game on the final drive. I mean, I could go on and on and on. Look at the year, Bryce Young. How many times did Bryce Young bail Alabama out with the get-out-of-jail-free card on the road at Auburn again? They lost the Tennessee game, even though he went crazy and went down and answered every time Tennessee went to go score. So Alabama's kind of, I won't say lost the fear factor, but after a while, you stop being scared of these teams and you just have nothing to lose. And I think that's where the point Alabama is. Like, nobody has anything to lose playing against Alabama. Every coach and every player is saving their best game plan because they want to rush the field. They want to be the team that said that they beat Alabama. So I don't think that it just lose the fear factor. People still respect that. They respect what that entails, but they just have nothing to lose at some point. Tennessee hadn't beat Alabama in 17 years. What was one more loss going to do? They put it all out there and they won that ball game. So I don't think that's beholden to DeBoer. That's been happening. But I think LSU is a very talented team with their offense. I just do not trust their defense. If I have to put my trust into one team, one side of the ball, it would be Alabama's defense to take control of that game and force some turnovers, despite it being in Death Valley and win that ball game.
Definitely. I'm expecting a big time game this weekend. Looking forward to seeing that one. Kai, is anything you want to promote? Anything you got going on article wise that you want people to check out?
No, I did some stuff about Caleb Williams, writing through college football. I get to cover NFL as well. The guys that go from my schools to the NFL. So Bears fans, be patient. I know y'all tired of fucking hearing that, but Caleb is a good quarterback.
Yeah.
It's not all on Caleb. Caleb has to be a little bit more patient and take the underneath stuff a little bit more. But I would say 85 to 80% of what I saw last week or the last 2 weeks has simply been on coaching. It's the worst pass rush pickup plan I've ever seen in my life. You have 16 different Arizona Cardinals generating pressures. That is on coaching. That's not on a player. That's not on a quarterback. That is on preparation and lack of adjustment. So stay patient with that. I wrote about it a little bit. Go check that out. Otherwise, appreciate you guys for having me, man. And let's get ready to watch 40 Taylor Swift shots and some Chiefs flags, a couple Baker Mayfield picks, and we'll act like we were surprised we saw it.
Exactly, and that we spent the first hour of this program shitting on Matt Eberflus and Shane Waldron, so we definitely with it, man. But you can follow Kai at Kyron Samuels on all social media platforms. Kai, man, we gonna holler at you.
Appreciate you, my guy. See you too,
yes,
man.
Sir. We gonna wrap this episode up, man. I'm not gonna hold you. Shout out to Kai for joining. Shout out to Pat for
joining. I like that Warren Sapp question though. I like that Warren because. I mean, I don't want to talk out of turn and be like, yo, this NFL player who's like defensive quality control coach or whatever ain't got no impact. But nah, I like that question, that answer to that question. And shouts out to Warren Sapp.
Shouts out to Warren Sapp. Yeah, because he people was questioning the hire at the beginning of the season.
Exactly.
It started a little rough, so he definitely bounced back, man. So y'all know to follow me on all social media platforms at Barberchair Scott. You can follow Bang and at Jar Bang on all social media platforms. We're gonna have a summer sessions episode this week. That should be an interesting one because the election is tomorrow. Like I said, go to the polls, vote. I will be all on tomorrow's the NFL trade deadline as well. So I'm gonna be like that Paul Pierce video. We had two phones. I'm gonna be paying attention to both things going on, man. So go out there, get your vote on. This is my fourth election. I'm getting old. My first election was Obama and Cheney. Not Cheney. Obama. What's that nigga name? McCain. My bad. I got the niggas mixed up. Obama and McCain. And I just remember all the energy that was downtown when I was at Columbia College. I bought one of the bootleg Obama Yes We Can t-shirts. And that moment when he actually won, bro, I heard motherfuckers shooting outside. Like, it was crazy. And so for anybody who's young, it's your first election. I'm sorry that we have these country on the line election for the third election in a row, but go out there and vote. And I'm pretty sure we're going to talk about the fallout on summer sessions this week. But follow the Barbershop Network at Barbershop Net and all social media platforms. Follow our partners, H&B Media, at H&B Media TV on Twitter and at H&B Media on Instagram. Subscribe to our Patreon, patreon.com/Barbershop Network. You take this QR code, man, it'll take you right to the link. We got 4 different tiers. If you want to subscribe to everything, subscribe to the $10 Barbershop Network all access tier. And for the new subscribers, you get 25% off on your first order at the Barbershop Network merchandise store. That is bcnetshop.com. Y'all enjoy this Monday Night Football game. We gonna holler at y'all on Friday. We up out of here.